Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Traveled to Ukraine to encourage the staff there. And Dirk, what all did you observe on this trip?
Well, we came from the western part of Ukraine, and it's a beautiful country. It's a breadbasket of Europe, a lot of farming there. You're amazed by seeing all the beautiful Orthodox churches with sometimes silver, sometimes golden roofs. And we saw in villages and also bigger cities, we saw many cemeteries, and they are full of Ukrainian flags, and every flag stands for most often a dead soldier. So everybody went quiet in the car, and that was difficult. With all the hardships and suffering during the war, that is one thing that has grown during the war, and that is more people tuning in, more people being interested. And TWR Ukraine is quite well known among people in Ukraine. They are really looking for our programs.
Romans 12:12. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. Please pray for the TWR Ukraine team as they continue to share the hope of Jesus with their suffering countrymen. To learn more about TWR's work in Ukraine, go to twr.org/footsteps.
Footsteps is a production of TWR.
Could you use monthly payments to help meet basic needs, like putting food on the table, paying the rent, or buying new shoes for growing feet? Find out about supplemental security income. You may qualify if your income and financial resources are low and you are 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability or who is blind. Call 1-800-772-1213 or go to ssa.gov/SSI. Produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
helping you take the next step in your walk with Christ. And home of Mornings with Brian. This is Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
All 10 House Republicans from New York are calling on the Columbia University president to resign. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. This comes as hundreds of students have occupied the campus for days, protesting the Biden administration's response to the Israel-Hamas war. House Republicans also claim the campus has been overrun by anarchy. An investigation is underway after a stolen vehicle was found in a Canton lagoon. Police say a man who was fishing spotted the vehicle in Cook's Lagoon on Sunday morning. The vehicle was pulled from the water and was discovered to have been reported stolen. An investigation is underway after several rail cars derailed at a Cleveland train yard. The incident happened Sunday afternoon at CSX's Collinwood yard, which resulted in 3 empty cars being derailed. No injuries, leaks, or spills were reported, and an investigation into how the cars derailed is ongoing. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
Moody Radio is thankful for King and Country.
But look around you. Your family, your faith, they're not in the way. They are the way.
From the creators of Jesus Revolution comes the true story.
It's going to be dangerous and scary, and giving up, it's not an option.
The story of one family's journey from down under to center stage. Unsung Hero, a For King and Country film starring Candace Cameron Bure and Terry O'Quinn. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. In theaters April 26th. More information available at unsunghero.movie.
In sports, the Cavaliers cruised past the Magic 96-86 to earn a 2-0 lead in their opening round playoff series, and the Pirates edged the Brewers 4-2. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Partly sunny this morning, then cloudy with a chance of showers this afternoon. Highs in the lower 60s. Currently mostly cloudy in the Cleveland area, 50 degrees. Akron and Canton clear and 45. Ashtabula the same, clear skies and 45 degrees.
It's time for your moron moment.
Hark these siras and mistresses. Today is Talk Like Shakespeare Day, and it gives us the chance to speak like one of the most influential playwrights of all time, William Shakespeare. Yea, and merrily, you can speak like the Bard of Avon, as he was also known, by replacing basic words like you and they for ye and they or thee or thou. Methinks that wouldst give thou a great start. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 6:03 with Moody Radio News. I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the Bob Devine Studio. It's Mornings with Brian. Want to join the conversation? Call or text now at 440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
I was very rugged yesterday, team. Very rugged.
Yeah?
You look so doubtful already, Lauren. What is that?
I'm just intrigued.
That was not an intrigued look. And so, Daria, what do you tell? Oh, you can't hear?
Her mic.
Oh, her mic. Okay.
Having a few technical issues over there.
Beep, beep, boop, 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 boop. But either way,
Ron is silencing women.
Oh, no, don't say that.
Oh, wow.
Don't say
Just
that.
kidding.
He'll be canceled immediately.
It's
Are you still there,
technology.
Ron? Did you get zapped?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, close one. No, like yesterday, I got my little tractor. I won't call it a tractor. It's a baby tractor.
Sure.
I got it stuck in the mud twice.
Well, why are you taking it into the mud?
Well, because I'm rugged. Where else are you going to take your tractor?
What were you? What does the tractor need to do in the mud?
I've got a front loader, and you scoop things, and you like.
You're scooping mud.
Well, there's an area I need to clean out by where a drain empties in the corner of my property, and it's all muddy down there. So I had to get out like tow chains.
Oh wow!
I had chains out, and I had like a.
What did you tow it
It's called a
with?
come along, but it's a. Well, I was home alone. I had. It's like a winch thing, and I had to like wrap around chains around a tree, and start like cranking this thing. Aren't you impressed?
I am.
Thank
Were you wearing
Ron.
coveralls?
No.
No. So you got mud all over your pants and shoes?
Well, no, I was careful. You don't have to. I didn't have to dive in the mud. The tractor was in the mud. I wasn't. It wasn't that deep. Ron, thank you for being impressed.
Yeah, that takes ingenuity to think about. Okay, I can stretch a chain from here to there. I need to come along to shorten the chain. They're bringing the tractor up out of the mud. I'm impressed.
What a silly name, a come along.
Yeah, I don't know what the technical term is for it. It's like a something. I don't know what.
Yeah, I've always called it a come along.
Did I have to look up on YouTube how to loosen it? Yes. I could not figure out.
We can't know all things.
How to do this. Yeah, and then Sarah and I were trying to work on this together, and she was like, "Let's drive over there." I was like, "Over there? You sure?" She goes, "Yeah." And then stuck in the mud. Had to use her car to pull us out.
So twice stuck.
Twice stuck in the mud because I'm rugged on a farm, sort of farm. Sorry, farmers. Like on a little place that has animals that doesn't actually farm. I get so nervous because we have actual farmers listening.
Yeah.
Can you be a little impressed?
I am impressed.
But
Ron clipped it. I heard the click.
There was also yesterday a very big moment for the Cuevas family that only Trey and I were excited about.
Yes.
Ron's going to get excited.
Okay.
This big moment. So tell us what happened.
Yesterday, Eddie got a lawnmower.
No.
Woo!
Whoa.
Can you be accurate? It was his first lawnmower. This is not just a lawnmower. This is Eddie's first lawnmower.
And it's a
Yes.
push mower, right?
It is.
Okay.
Eddie's first lawnmower. Wow.
It probably bags and mulches and maybe even has a side discharge.
I don't know. It's electric. That's what I know.
Oh, boogie,
very-
woogie, woogie, woogie.
Yes. You can feel it.
It's very
like-
quiet.
Okay.
He turned it on. I was like, oh, wouldn't have even known you're here.
Was that exciting?
I don't know. I don't have any feelings about it being quiet.
Now, Ron, do you remember the first time you got your own mower and mowed your own grass?
Yes.
I remember it vividly. Is it that strong for you?
Well, it would be the first house that Dana and I lived in together because I had houses where I lived with other guys, in my 20s. So
That doesn't count.
yeah, that was just a chore. And mowing the lawn at home when I lived at home, that was a real chore
Yeah.
because I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, but this was,
His own house.
yeah, I
a
mean,
reflection on me.
oh yeah. I remember going home early from work, so excited to mow my lawn. This is mine for the very first time. Oh,
Yes.
it was great. Was Eddie super excited?
He was excited in his way.
What does that mean?
So it doesn't look like you're excited.
Yeah, I know, but like, how did you know he was excited? What was the tell?
Well, he had to do it right away. He couldn't have waited until today.
Right.
He had to do it yesterday when he got home at 5:30.
Was there smiling?
No.
Was there, I'm so excited?
No.
I just can't hide it?
I was grilling dinner and he didn't come in for dinner. He's like, I really got to finish this. No problem. Go ahead.
Oh, boy. So even
Go
though he
on.
didn't say, Lauren, I'm so excited. This is so fun. I love my lawn. He didn't make any comments, but you could tell because he wanted to get it done.
And then him and Trey came in later to eat dinner. And our dining room has 2 big windows into our yard.
Yeah.
And he sat looking into the yard, and this is what he said. I wrote it down. And I made myself not tell you until today.
So Eddie was gazing out the window.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
And he said, even the birds know it's a good lawn. Look at them all out there on my lawn.
Eddie! Oh, he was excited. Oh, my goodness.
my
This is
gosh.
huge.
Even the birds know it's a good lawn. Look at them.
There's something about, I remember, you mow your first lawn, and then you
it's funny.
stand and admire it.
And
Look
then
what I've done.
I
Eddie
texted
Cueva.
2 of his friends, and I said, you guys need to congratulate Eddie on mowing his first lawn. Well, not his first lawn, his first personal lawn.
Did they?
Not his mom's lawn.
Did they respond?
They have not, but they're not.
big moment for
They're
a
not the
man.
responding type. So
And he commented the birds noticed.
Yeah.
That's big. You forgot the Trey part.
Oh, yeah. Trey was thrilled out of his mind. Eddie would mow like a row, and Trey would just sprint behind him screaming and cheering in the clean grass. Just cheering.
And he stayed outside during dinner.
Yes. Yep.
Just to keep cheering.
Yes.
Why didn't any of my kids cheer for me? Well, I didn't have any kids, I guess, is why when I first got a lawn.
I did have one time I was mowing, and my grandson had one of those little bubble mowers.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was in a row beside me, and I'd start, and then he'd be like 3 steps behind pushing his little mower.
It's the best.
I can't even. Eddie was excited.
Yep.
He wasn't excited about getting his first home, but this is it. I get it. I totally understand. Eddie
I was
Cuevas.
excited, yes.
So good. You're right, Eddie. The birds do notice.
The birds knew.
They knew it. They saw it. They've been waiting. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, it's 6:14. I need a minute. I'm a little verklempt here for Eddie.
Yeah.
Coming up here in just a few minutes, you may be suffering from something called the Zeigarnik Effect. In fact,
Oh.
I can almost guarantee you are. And we also know the cure to said Zeigarnik Effect. We'll explain more in a minute.
Pursue your passion of shepherding, teaching, and ministry leadership with a Master of Divinity from Moody Theological Seminary. Study systematic theology, pastoral practices, learn to analyze Scripture through the lens of the original Hebrew and Greek texts. Take classes when and how it's most convenient for you, on campus in Chicago or Plymouth, Michigan, or online wherever you are. Get started today at moody.edu/mdiv, moody.edu/mdiv.
Did you know the average person walks nearly 2,000 miles a year? Now think about the millions of children around the world who risk disease and miss out on opportunities simply because they walk those 2,000 miles without a decent pair of shoes. For the past 25 years, Buckner Shoes for Orphan Souls has provided more than 5 million pairs of shoes to kids in some of the most vulnerable communities in the world. That's over 5 million opportunities to put a smile on the face of a child and show God's love to boys and girls living in desperate situations. Many times, those shoes introduce families to Christ-centered programs, helping them rise above poverty and achieve their God-given potential. I'm Rob West, inviting you to provide shoes and share the love of Christ with children around the world and here in the United States. Find out how you can make an impact at giveshoestoday.org. That's giveshoestoday.org.
Join the conversation by call or text at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
6:16. A whole bunch of you are jumping on the mom train, as they say. What is the mom train? This year, our radio station is a figurative train. We've got a Mother's Day prize pack like no other. I mean, you'll get this and you'll instantly weep for a variety of reasons. Why? Because its value is over $750. It includes a cuff bracelet from Love Designs, handcrafted jewelry and accessories, a Stanley water bottle, the one that everybody is like freaking out about.
Right.
A temperature-controlled mug, a bag of local coffee, a box of Mally's chocolates. You're like, well, that's all I need. Oh, no, there's more. 3 gift certificates.
Average. I just restarted my computer, so nothing right now.
I have mine automatically open with 4. Do you know you can do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you do it?
No.
Why not?
Stresses me out.
To have it preset things for you?
Yeah.
It saves you time.
Well, sometimes I'm not working on that task, and I want it to be where I want it to be.
Here we go. Got to be in control. That's a different problem, by the way.
That's exactly right.
So the same thing happens, or you know how that kind of bogs down your computer sometimes when you have too many tabs open. Well, the same thing happens to your brain. Here, where you have unfinished tasks that keep running in the background, and it impairs your performance of your brain.
Yes.
So the Zeigarnik Effect is named after Dr. Bluma Zeigarnik. Okay, she was inspired to study a memory phenomenon when her professor noticed that restaurant servers had better memory recall for unpaid orders. However, once customers paid, the servers struggled to remember the details of the orders. You're nodding like this makes sense to you. I've never been trusted with a tray of anything.
Yes, I have worked in restaurants, and that makes sense. Because you're like, oh, that's done, so I don't ever have to think about them again.
Well, so you might be asking, but why? Zeigarnik found that our brains are wired to remember unfinished tasks better than completed ones, like a to-do list. And once we finish a task, our brain checks it off to free up mental bandwidth. But this also means that the more unfinished tasks we have running in the background, the more resources our brains dedicate to keeping track of them.
Yeah.
I know that for me, I have this list of looming projects that are not done. It's kind of swirling in my brain. Are you that way?
Yeah. Often, though, they kind of get out of sight in my brain, if that makes sense. So if I don't see them, I've kind of forgot about them, but I know there's something I'm supposed to be doing. I just don't remember what it is.
Yeah, and that'll get you going. In fact, the Zeigarnik Effect is one reason perfectionists struggle with anxiety. They obsess over details and have unrealistic expectations. This causes them to be surrounded by unfinished tasks. The Zeigarnik Effect keeps their brains bogged down, poorly focused, and stressed out because they can't let things go. Are you a perfectionist, Lauren?
No. We talked about this like 2 weeks ago.
You're not? Okay. I kind of am.
Yeah, it's okay.
How did you, wait, you said that so fast. How do you know?
Well, I thought about it 2 weeks ago when you asked.
How am I supposed to remember that? It's completed. It's gone from my brain.
Right, exactly.
Do I show it that much? That I'm a perfectionist?
No, but we just talked about it 2 weeks ago, so I remember that you said that you are.
Oh. Ron, are you?
I said I was a frustrated perfectionist.
It's Daria.
Hi.
She made it.
Yay! Are you a perfectionist? You are.
Yeah.
So do you have the Zeigarnik Effect?
I don't know. I missed most of the conversation. I was digging around underneath the radio station, pulling
She
cords.
was.
Wow, you're amazing to fix it that fast. I would have been out the whole morning.
I was on the phone with Alan, the engineer.
I literally would have left.
Well, Daria, you know when you have a whole bunch of like Chrome tabs open?
Yeah.
It bogs your computer down? Your brain's like that. Zeigarnik figured out that if you, like servers, when they have unpaid tabs, they remember the orders like perfectly. But as soon as they pay, they check it off the list.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, it's also the reason we struggle to fall asleep, the Zeigarnik Effect.
Oh, yeah.
For many of us, bedtime's the one time we're surrounded with distractions. So our brain goes into overdrive, refreshing and resurfacing all the tabs we've kept open throughout the day. Now, you are, Lauren, you're going to have to talk about your strategy here. You get stuff, like you love checking things off a list. You like checking that off before I finish saying it.
Yes.
What's that about?
I try to reduce my brain traffic, my Chrome tabs in my brain.
Intentionally?
Yes.
It's really crazy. Like if someone gives me a task, I go, oh boy, I've got to do that. I better write myself a note on that because I just can't do it right now. Daria, you're kind of like that.
Yeah, I keep, I prioritize my tasks because I will forget them. So then I rank them, what needs to get done immediately, what can wait a little bit. And then I have a background task list of these are things that need to get done, but they're long-term projects.
But by the way, it's terrible you can cure yourself for the Zeigarnik Effect, but that's not it. That'll make it worse. Sorry. I'll explain more in a minute. Lauren's got this ability to, while I'm feeling overwhelmed about a task existing, I go, oh no, there's a new task. Oh boy, she's done. Like in front of us, it'll be finished.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
Stop
do
that.
Just do it when you think about it, so you never have to think about it again. That's my philosophy. But obviously, there are some things you can't do right away, and with that, I would write a note.
But I am impressed, like in a meeting, we'll say, well, somebody's got to send an email to so-and-so about an upcoming event. And then we go on and we're talking about another item. In the meantime, you're sending that email that we just talked about. And you're like, oh, check that off. But you're not missing the conversation. I would be, if I'm sending that email, I would miss that next item that we discussed completely.
We discovered in a personality assessment that we had to do as a team that most of us are ideators. So, like, we're going to talk about sending the email for forever.
Yeah.
Lauren's just a doer.
Yeah, I will be writing myself an email to
To
tell
write the
myself to do
Yes.
to write an email. And while I'm doing that, I'll have totally missed everything that was said.
Yes.
It happens to me.
That's why you use Siri, and you tell her to remind you to do stuff.
I don't know how many times where I'm like doing something over here and on my side of the table, and you'll talk to me, and I'll wait and pause and go, wait, I'm so sorry. What?
Yeah, and then I have to decide if it's important enough to repeat or just move on.
I don't do it on purpose.
It's okay.
No,
I also have to learn how you function, so. it's for
yours
both of
is
us.
superhuman. It's not fair. You should dial it back a
No,
notch.
I don't think so. I think it's just changing how, like, your outlook on things.
I can't totally change everything about me.
I didn't say that.
But that's what it would take to do what you do. I would have to be not Brian anymore.
Well, that's why we're a team. I just do the things, and you think about the things, and we do them together.
Yay, team.
Yay.
Yay. Now, how do you get rid of the Zeigarnik effect on your life so you can sleep and not have issues? This is a really interesting one, but Daria's going to hate it. Ditch the to-do list.
Yeah, I hate it. I'm going to forget stuff.
Yeah, me too.
No, you won't. You have to give yourself permission to forget, is what they say. Now, here's how we do this. First of all, instead of a to-do list, you should create a needle mover list.
Oh.
What is it? Just a different word for the same thing?
Just scratch off to do and write needle mover on top.
No. See, when Sarah makes a to-do list for the family on a Saturday, there's like 16,000 things on it.
Yeah.
A needle mover list is 1 to 3 high priority tasks for the day or the week that have to get done.
So it's still a to-do list.
But
It's a shorter to-do list.
It's a very short needle mover. It's like, I got to get these done.
But then you still know that you have to do those other things. It's just
No, you don't
making
know
the
it.
top 3 lists.
You don't know it. Here's why.
Yeah, you do.
No,
Okay.
you don't. Here's why. Because you give yourself permission to forget. So here's what it is. It's where you use your second brain is what Tiago Forte
I don't
calls
have
it.
one.
I need one.
Yeah. Which is somewhere you save information to come back to later. A second brain can be a physical notebook, a program like Notion, never heard of it, calendar reminders, or anything else that works for you. But it's the tasks that you can put somewhere else. They don't have to stay in your memory, but
Yeah,
you
so a
know
to-do
where they
list.
are.
Yeah, that's exactly a to-do list.
So it's a to-do list. I'm putting it on there so I know that one day I have to do it.
But you're focusing on your needle movers.
That's what I just said.
That
You
sounds
still
like
have
what
to
I do.
put them on
I
the
said
list.
I rank my things
exactly
by what's
right.
most important.
Yes.
Wow, maybe we should have doctorates if Bluma or whatever came up with this.
I like I'm the only one that likes it. Here's what I do, and you've seen me do it.
We're not saying we don't like it. We're just saying it's still a to-do list.
They've just titled it something
You've
different.
just prioritized
You're a to-do
it.
list.
Oh, okay.
Your comebacks need some work.
So do yours.
I know I am, but what are you?
So what I do, I do reminders. I don't want to say her name, but the lady in my phone, who's actually a man. I turned her into
Yes.
It's not a gender problem when it's a phone.
A male voice, yeah.
Thank you.
And I say, remind me at this time to do this, and then whatever that thing was, it's gone from my brain.
Right.
Disappears.
That's because that's what the lists are for, so you don't have to think about it again.
Yes.
You put it somewhere so you don't have to think about it again.
Right, I'm not constantly ruminating on my to-do
No,
list. That's why I
absolutely
wrote it
not.
down.
If they're just supposed to be stuck in my brain, they're gone forever.
Sounds like you guys love sitting in your big pile of Zeigarnik Effect.
I don't think so. I think
Yeah,
putting
no,
it...
the like it. The pool's nice. You love it.
You're
you love
not
it.
letting me
Zeigarnik.
talk. You're just talking louder and over me.
What? People don't like that?
She's just saying put on a list so you don't have to think about it.
Well,
And that's what we're saying.
In a different notebook, though. It's on a different.
So it has to be different than your to-do list.
Yes, because then it's not in front of your face. It's in the, I'm not worried about this list.
So her advice is rename your to-do list and buy a new notebook.
Let's see. Yes, I think that is it.
I'll just do it on the second page.
Yeah, I guess you all had to write something for psychology today.
Okay.
I guess we totally reject this. Is that correct?
I accept the, what is it, effect.
The principle.
Yeah, that it's a thing and it makes sense. But maybe her principle isn't that groundbreaking.
Well, here's what we're going to do then. Here's how you guys feel about this suggestion. So get rid of this one.
Maybe it's good for you. Maybe you need to start making a list.
Well, this person was obviously studying my life because this is what I do. Clearly,
so make a list.
But it's not going well. That's the
Your
problem.
needle nose list or whatever it's called.
You've seen my life. It's not going well.
It's going just fine.
It's not the task part of my life.
You have to find a way that you will use your lists. That's the problem.
I looked and I gave up.
I know. There's a lot of, you've tried a lot of different ways.
I know she says.
You have to find the right one.
It's 6:30. If she's not wound up already, Lauren's about to get real wound up.
Ooh.
Paul said that he's going to try this. See?
Paul.
Okay. Way to go, Paul.
This is my guy. I'm not the only one.
A priority list.
Needle mover.
Needle nose, whatever.
Yeah. I love that sound you just made was so great. So there's a real big pro-life issue in the state of Ohio that's hitting very close to home with our team. She's looking at me like I made it up. It's true. What is it? Lauren and you will find out in just a minute.
I'm Jamie Buxton, and this is Pause for Prayer. I recently saw a really funny meme on social media. It showed Maria from The Sound of Music playing and singing with children, and it was labeled, "The kind of mom that I thought I'd be." And next to it was Judge Judy, and she was cutting people off saying, "No, not today. Not in my room. I don't think so." And under that video, it was labeled, "The kind of mom I actually am." I literally laughed out loud as I thought about my life with my boys and the ways I interact with them daily. Let's pause for prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, the mom I want to be always wakes up refreshed, spends time with God, takes an early walk outside, and greets my husband and 4 kids with a big hug and a daily devotionals to start off the day. But the mom that I am often wakes up after hitting the snooze several times, rolling my eyes that my husband doesn't even budge on now my 3rd alarm, and rushes to the bathroom barely to open my eyes and shower and get dressed. It's easy to grow frustrated because I haven't yet become the mom I truly want to be. Encourage me, Jesus, with your word. Galatians 6:9 says, "So let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up." Encourage me, Father, to not give up and to stay the course of motherhood. I pray that you'll motivate me in different ways today and help me to find glimpses of your handiwork in my day. Dear God, help me notice today when I begin to operate from my own strength instead of your Holy Spirit. Help me to see those moments as a reminder to slow down, trusting in you not just for the growth of my children, but that you're growing me too. In your precious name I pray. Amen.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten.
Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838. That's 1-800-659-9838.
Are you looking for candid conversation from a biblical perspective?
You found it. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Austin French at 6:37 on WCRF Mornings with Brian. Why wouldn't you want to have breakfast with Ron?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have an opportunity to have a free breakfast with Ron. Why? Because we have 2 pairs of tickets to the Cleveland Leadership Prayer Breakfast coming up on May 2nd at the IX Center.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be seated at Ron's table.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yummy.
Yeah.
The food.
The food, not me. Please don't eat me for breakfast.
So if you would like to join Ron at his table for breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
and you could bring a friend with you or your spouse or, I don't know, your mom, somebody.
Yeah, if you need a little more Ron in your life.
Just text the word Ron. 440-546-2255 to enter for your chance to win. Text Ron. 440-546-2255. All right, so there was outrage in our station yesterday, and Lauren's a little mad at my melodrama before the break.
Yes.
But I think caring for small children is a pro-life issue. I think it is. Womb to tomb, baby.
Well, yeah, if you're going quality of life and not life or death as your definition of pro-life.
Yeah, I am. I am going that way. Quality of life matters. Can you share with us what, like, we were all ready to just, like, cry with you, like, hold you and weep. What happened to you guys?
So we had a babysitter starting in January, obviously because I was coming back to work. And she worked for us for maybe 5 weeks or something. And over those 5 weeks, she slowly kept reducing her hours. It's 3 hours in the morning from 9 to noon.
So you have 3 hours that cover you and Eddie in your overlapping jobs.
Right. So it's from 9 to noon, Monday through Friday. And slowly over those 5 weeks, she just kept reducing her hours or would take a day like out of the rotation or whatever. And then she gave her 2 weeks notice. And we were like, okay, that's fine. And then her first week of that 2 weeks, she took off 2 days and then was supposed to come the final Friday. And on Thursday night, she said, I'm not coming anymore at all. So then we had a couple weeks where I had to find a new babysitter. So then we did. And I was just very clear about we really need someone reliable that's going to stick around, that's stable. We've already had a lot of change for our 3-year-old. We just are looking for something stable. So if you're not able to commit to doing this for a long time, I don't have any hurt feelings. I'd rather you tell me now. They agreed to that. Yesterday they told us they're quitting.
Oh, wow.
And
when's their last day?
Wednesday. So they gave us 2 days notice. And you may think maybe it's our problem. The first one was not our problem. They were a young person and just not able to keep track of their schedule very well.
Yeah, a college student, yeah.
Yeah. And then this other one, they have a different job that's more important to them than this. They're kind of using taking care of our kids as supplement to their other job. And their other job was needing morning hours, and they couldn't because they were at our house. So they decided to go with the other job they're more passionate about.
Well, somebody might go, okay, easy solution. Don't worry about this babysitter business. Put your boys in daycare.
Yeah, so the first problem with that is that my oldest is already in a preschool. That's afternoon preschool. So that would mean taking him out of his school now and finding a new school, changing his entire routine because he's used to afternoon. He's used to his mornings at home and afternoon at school. So this would mean changing his entire routine because I would need both in a daycare/preschool in the morning time. He's already established friendships at his preschool. He already has a teacher. And like I said, he's already had a ton of change in his life. I don't really want to pull him from his school right now.
But that can't be the only reason.
No, the other reason is because it's outrageously expensive.
What do you mean? It's no big deal. Outrageously expensive. You got 2 incomes. Come on.
Not so expensive that if we were to do that, me quitting my job would like make it all even. We still would like me having a job makes us, more money than us just not to work. But it would put us we wouldn't be able to pay our mortgage. That's what it would do.
Because mortgages are expensive these days.
Mortgages are expensive these days, and so is daycare.
Yeah, in fact, I didn't realize this, but it's become, like, childcare has become a major statewide issue. So Cleveland.com, I saw an article that dealt with this. Now, as recently as a few months ago, there was very little action in the state legislature to address major issues with Ohio's child care system. What are the major issues? Skyrocketing costs is what they call it. Not just higher or slightly higher, skyrocketing costs. The annual cost of child care for an infant in the state is now nearly $10,000.
Wow.
For an infant. Problems finding and keeping childcare staff. Another issue, creating more childcare options in parts of the state that just don't have them. Now, it's become such an issue that it's actually reached front and center in the state legislature. Recent developments suggest that childcare reforms have picked up steam among some key backers. For example, Governor DeWine outlined new initiatives meant to expand access to childcare during the State of the State address. Business leaders have spotlighted the problems as a workforce issue. The article goes into major explanations of this. Business owners, the Chamber of Commerce, very concerned because people can't work because they can't afford daycare.
Right.
And we need people to work. Republican state lawmakers who hold a commanding supermajority in both state House chambers have introduced legislative ideas aimed at fixing some of the problems in the system. So this is not a Lauren problem where, Lauren and Eddie just need to be more responsible. I don't think I've met more responsible people than Lauren and Eddie.
And also, it doesn't help. We both work at a nonprofit. So we're not in, like, the marketplace.
Right. You're not out there, rolling in your dough.
Yeah.
Like, you both work to live.
Yes.
Which is what my wife and I do.
Mm-hmm.
She was a stay-at-home mom, and it became unaffordable.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the way the world works today. So what are we going to do about this is the question. Now, state lawmakers are talking about it. How are we going to handle this? Because remember, it's up to $10,000 a year for a baby.
Yeah.
I did the math, if you'd like, from actual, when I was doing my research.
Yeah, please. Let's
from
hear it.
actual daycares around this area.
Yeah.
For 2 kids, it would be $2,800 a month.
What?
Mm-hmm. And you'd
almost
be like,
$3,000 a month?
Yes, and you would say, oh, but you're only there 3 hours, Lauren. Most of them don't care. It's a flat rate.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're there. They're like, sure, you can have them here part-time, but it's the same rate as for a full-time kid.
Yeah, and see, I've heard teachers have the same problem, right? Because you can't just pay for the school year.
Yeah.
They end up paying for the summer, and they'll take their kids to
Oh.
daycare a few days a week because they're paying for it. They might as well do it.
Yeah.
It would cost $3,800 a month?
$2,800 a month.
$2,800 a
Yeah,
month.
so that's $33,600 a year. And that's, you also have to pay an enrollment fee as well as an education fee. Which
Of course.
I'm not
What?
sure why that's different than the tuition. But that was at 2 different ones. They were both $2,800. And one we were looking at that actually allowed half-day care, that like you could pay for half-day.
Mm-hmm.
It still wasn't worth it. It was a little bit less, but not much.
Now, somebody would probably say, oh, well, you know what that probably was. That was probably some sort of elite private institution where children wear little
No.
suits and they're served by butlers.
No, those were like the cheapest I could find.
The cheapest you could find
Yes, of actual daycare centers. Mhm.
would be $33,000 a year
Mhm.
for two
For 2
kids. That's a problem.
Yeah. And I don't know, like sometimes people will do in-home care,
Mhm.
and I don't know that they're going to be that much cheaper. They might be a little less,
Yeah.
but they probably make the research like you've done
Mhm.
and say, okay, if they're going to
Sure.
pay this much to be institutionalized, wouldn't they prefer to be at a home with a real person,
Mhm.
and then just mark it down $100 or something and say, oh, there.
Yeah, and with that, you don't necessarily know if they're certified, if they have the right qualifications to
Right.
be caring for children, and
Yeah,
you read the horror stories.
yeah.
So what are the state's proposed solutions to this problem? There's some out there. We'll chat about what they are here in just a minute.
Moody Radio is thankful for King and Country.
But look around you. Your family, your faith, they're not in the way. They are the way.
From the creators of Jesus Revolution comes the true story.
It's going to be dangerous and scary, and giving up, it's not an option.
The story of one family's journey from down under to center stage. Unsung Hero, a For King and Country film starring Candace Cameron Bure and Terry O'Quinn. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. In theaters April 26th. More information available at unsunghero.movie.
We know there are many mothers like no other, but we have only one big prize package to give away. Would you like to give your mother gift certificates to Merry Maids, Massage Envy, and a hotel stay, plus Mally's chocolates, a beautiful Stanley water bottle, several Moody Publishers books, and more? Then enter Moody Radio Cleveland's Mother Like No Other giveaway for a prize package worth over $750.
Call your mother.
Text MOM to 440-546-2255 to enter to win. That's MOM to 440-546-2255.
India Partners works to stop human trafficking, and a partnership in that work is Moody Radio. When you help rescue a girl from the red light districts of Mumbai, India, you are standing up to injustice and living out Psalm 82. It says, "Defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and oppressed." Now keep that in mind as you hear what happened to Pallavi, who was trafficked and sold at 14 years old.
She took me to a place, I don't know where, and there were a lot of men, and there is no way out.
For 8 years, sometimes as often as 15 times a day, Pallavi was abused.
Morning they used to come, afternoon they used to come, like a commodity.
So let's go right back to Psalm 82. Defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor and oppressed. Learn how you can be part of saving, maybe even changing, a young girl's life today. Go to indiapartners.org/Moody. That's indiapartners.org/Moody.
Bringing Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania closer to Christ, one conversation at a time. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
649 WCRF. We're chatting about something I think is, from a lot of different angles, a pro-life issue, but Ohio leaders are finally starting to tackle, as Cleveland.com calls it, the state's childcare crisis. Again, crisis. It can cost $10,000 a month to have an infant cared for. There's a shortage of childcare staff, and there's a shortage of facilities. So the question might be if the state's talking about how to solve this crisis. Because, and by the way, if you're just tuning in, business leaders are very concerned because they can't hire people, because people can't go to work, because they can't afford to have their kids cared for.
And that might help explain why we see help wanted signs everywhere.
That's right.
Because there are so many people tied to the home because they can't get out.
Now, so let's look at some of the solutions proposed. Governor DeWine announced earlier this month that he's creating a voucher program to cover child care expenses for Ohio households making up to 200% of the poverty line, which is $60,000 per year for a family of 4, a move that will cover costs for about 8,000 more children in the state. But that means, keep in mind, that is a 4-person family that their combined income is $60,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you that there is a lot of families making more than that are barely making it. You know what I mean? Like, you'd have to plunge yourself into poverty to get the voucher. The governor's also said that he would use $85 million in reallocated federal funding to offer grants for child care providers to improve and expand their facilities. That doesn't help moms.
No.
But it'd be nice. You get like a nice playground at the facility.
I mean, I think the idea is that it opens up the possibility for more kids to be cared for at the center. Because
maybe,
Lauren, correct me, I think there's an actual shortage of spots at daycares.
Yeah, there's wait lists. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. That at this point, though, right? What they would do is have more room to charge $33,000 a year for 2 kids. You know, it's just I hate to be so cynical, but it doesn't help much. Next one, here's another solution. At the State House, Republican lawmakers are putting forward bills designed to make childcare more accessible through collaboration with private companies and nonprofits. Check this out. This is fascinating. House Bill 484 from a couple of different House representatives would provide more than $10 million in state grants to help employers build new childcare facilities, renovate existing facilities, and or partner with childcare, local governments, and nonprofits to make more childcare available to workers.
Yeah, if you've got a big enough company, having a childcare on site might be a good solution for you.
Yeah, and what the House is saying is, listen, we'll put in some money if business owners will help subsidize childcare as well.
Mm-hmm.
Soon to be introduced twin bills in the Ohio House and Senate, meanwhile, would create a statewide program under which workers of participating employers would only have to pay a third of their childcare costs, with their employer and the state covering the other 2/3. The legislation, which would cost the state about $150 to $200 million per year, is modeled on similar tri-share programs in Michigan and some other states. Literally, it would be the state says, we'll pay a third if the employer will pay a third. And then, I'm not doing the math right, and then you pay a third.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea behind that, if it could work out. Because, the employer is going to benefit by having those people, those women, I'm going to say, because it's primarily women who are tasked with the child care.
By the way, Ohio is close to last among U.S. states when it comes to subsidizing childcare. We're one of the worst. Brutal.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Here's where the storyline frustrates me. You know what you hear more of when you hear people complain about childcare costs? Work harder. Get a better job. That's the solution. Pull up your bootstraps, Lauren. Grab those straps, start pulling. You can't even?
Yeah, I have nothing to say.
But I'm not wrong. This is what people do. They start hollering at employees to just work harder. Meanwhile, inflation goes up 8 to 10%, and wages go up half that if you're lucky.
Right. I mean, we've basically taken a pay cut over the last couple of years. Raises are nowhere near keeping up with inflation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you need to get a job just to be able to afford daycare, but you can't get a job until you can afford daycare.
And then you get mad at me because I'm working harder and not being at home with my kids. And I'm not being a good mom.
Right.
I'm not. I mean, you're saying you, this as in this fictitious person that yells at moms.
Mm-hmm.
Now, remember the governor proposed increasing the amount you can make in order to get subsidies, which was, again, about $60,000 a year for a family of 4,
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, that breaks down to $5,000 a month is $60,000
Mm-hmm.
minus housing costs, which rent and mortgage, we're talking $1,200 a month.
At least. I mean, I think those days are gone.
And then you got to eat, and you got to have a car to get to work, and you got to pay for gas.
And insurance.
Mm-hmm.
You see how there's no money left?
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, he says we should move it up to 200% of the poverty line. Currently, it's for 142% of the poverty line, or $42,000 a year for a family of 4. The only way to get subsidies right now is if a family of 4 is generating $42,600 a year. Otherwise, you're on your own, baby.
That's the poverty line, or is that?
That's 142% of the poverty line.
So poverty line is really low.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people living in the midst of that.
Yeah.
I think we also need to talk about why is the poverty line so low when arguably people that are making significantly more than that are still struggling, not because of poor choices they've made, just because of the cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
The governor's voucher program is being paid for with one-time federal coronavirus relief money. So for it to continue in future years, state lawmakers would have to find a way to cover the program's expected cost of about $140 million a year. He's not even using funds that are going to be consistent. He's using secret funds. Not secret, but, like extra funds.
Special, yeah.
And so what would that mean? They'd have to increase
taxes. Nobody wants to hear that.
Don't increase my taxes.
Yeah, especially a lot of us older folks will be like, we raised our kids. Why do I want to pay money to raise your kids? Which is the wrong attitude altogether. You got to think not about your nuclear family, but the entirety of the American population. And if you want America to continue to grow and be civilized, you've got to have good child care as a start to that. When kids grow up with unsteady or unsure home situations and child care situations, they're much more likely to become unsteady citizens.
Yeah.
And join a gang looking for the family that they didn't have because mom and dad were working and they were latchkey kids or whatever. It's important that we consider this, all of us, even old folks like me.
Yeah, and I mean, nobody wants their taxes to go up. I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't want people in Lauren's situation. That seems unreasonable in a society. I don't know. I get frustrated by it because, I mean, can we get over the lazy storyline at least? Can we get over Lauren's generation is not working hard enough? Can we just get past that? I don't know if we can.
Yeah. And I don't hear people say that anymore, except you quoting unnamed sources. But
well, I hear people all the time, get a better job. Why don't you get a better education? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why do you have your college debt? Stop having your college debt.
I don't have
Because you
college
told
debt.
me to get an education so I could make more money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think college debt should go back on the banks myself. They were foolish enough to allow this to go on. I think they should take the hit. And it may crash a few banks. I don't care. Dave will come in and tell me how wrong I am in a moment, but, you know, his philosophy would take it out of the endowments of the colleges that let the kids come in and take all that money out. But
I mean, when you can get state lawmakers to call something like this a crisis, you know it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of opportunity here for churches, especially because there's parts of the state, and I'm guessing in more rural areas where there's no options for families. It used to be that churches did childcare.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got a text on this.
Yeah, it says, I live in a rural area, and many area churches are running affordable preschools and after-school programs.
Praise the Lord.
My kids go to daycare 3 days a week for 2.5 hours, and it's only $80 per month at a church. Churches should step up.
That's affordable.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a shortage of people.
$2,800.
Right? And it's not that complicated for a church to get some state funding. And it doesn't take even that much work for people to volunteer and donate food for lunches and snacks.
Yeah, and if you've got the church building and you're already keeping it at a minimum heat, during the winter and cool during the summer, it's not going to cost you that much more in utilities.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the right volunteers or staff that aren't going to charge, a lot of money to be there, but just are there because they love being with kids. And of course, you're going to have to vet them with the police and do background checks and everything, but that's normal these days.
And what's interesting is we're going to pay for it regardless, right? I mean, either we're going to pay for it by donations at church or in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Or in messed up kids because
right.
Mom and dad had to work too much to afford their daycare that they were never around.
Yeah, this one makes me mad.
Yeah.
Mad for my friend and people just like her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry you guys have to deal with this. It's maddening.
Yeah. And I was talking to our friend Kathleen yesterday, and she used to live in Chicago. And she said, something I realized is that in Chicago, nannying is like a career. It's like a profession. Mm-hmm. You meet people and you know people. That's their job. And here it's not like that. It's just like an extra cash kind of thing. It's not, people are willing to do it for the long term. I had friends and knew people who were nannying for the same family for years.
Mm.
And that you just don't find that here. So.
And we're one of the worst in the country for subsidies.
Yeah, right.
So it's something to pray about. I think if you're in leadership in a church or you just have a voice in your church, this could be a time where churches really could show up in the state of Ohio and say, look at what we can do. We know we've got a crisis. We've seen it. Everyone's saying it's one. We can help solve this problem.
And you run a well-run daycare, the parents of those children are going to come Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
You better
because
believe it.
You've shown the love of Christ to them and their family.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
they'll come to your church and maybe they'll find Christ if they don't know him already. A great outreach.
You have a lovely building that you've paid for that you don't use during the week for the most part.
Empty all week.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. It's 7:02. We got a surprise. Surprise, Dave Szfranski's here. We have a very special campaign tomorrow and Thursday, so Dave won't have time to be with us, or we can't get him in, or however you want to put it. So Dave Szfranski's doing a special visit right now. You can ask your financial questions from 7 to 8. Dave will be answering them. He's president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group. Call or text right now, 440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
The Supreme Court said Monday it will take up the issue of ghost guns. It's 7:03. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. The ATF recently changed the rules, giving the government more power to regulate ghost guns. The kits must come with serial numbers now. The question before the High Court is whether the ATF has the power to change gun rules or if that must come through Congress. Ohio is the first state in the U.S. to test newborn babies for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Governor DeWine made the announcement yesterday, noting that the illness was added to a list of 40 other medical conditions that are included in the Ohio Department of Health newborn screening program. And an officer is being placed on administrative leave following an accidental shooting, which left another officer dead in Orient, Ohio. The incident happened earlier this month at the correctional training facility when Lieutenant Rodney Osborne was killed during a training exercise on a shooting range. Sports and weather coming your way next.
You can secure your master's degree in clinical mental health counseling from Moody Theological Seminary. Study at the Chicago or Plymouth, Michigan campuses. Be equipped as a servant leader who can transform your community. The graduating class of 2017 had a 100% job placement and a 100% pass rate on the National Counselor exam. You'll be equipped to meet the needs of others while you reflect the character of Christ. Get started today at moody.edu/counseling. That's moody.edu/counseling.
In sports, the Cavaliers cruised past the Magic 96-86 to earn a 2-0 lead in their opening round of the NBA playoff series. Meantime, the Pirates edged the Brewers 4-2. Here is your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Partly sunny this morning, then cloudy with a chance of showers this afternoon. Highs in the lower 60s. At last check, we had mostly cloudy skies in Cleveland, 50 degrees. The clouds have made their way into the Akron-Canton area as well, 45 the temperature. Ashtabula still clear and 48.
It's time for your moron moment.
Hark thee, sirrahs and mistresses. Today is Talk Like Shakespeare Day, and that gives us the chance to talk like one of the most influential playwrights of all time, William Shakespeare. Yea, and merrily, you can speak like the Bard of Avon by replacing basic words like you and they for ye and thee or thou. Methinks that wouldst give thou a great start. And that's your Moron Moment.
Moron.
And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It is 7:06. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
The opinions expressed during this program represent the opinions of the participants and is given for informational purposes only. Any information provided is not intended to replace professional advice for your specific situation.
It's that time of the week. Special visit from David Szfranski, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group, a couple days early. Yay!
I'm about to ruin Tuesday for some people.
Usually it's Thursday. We have a campaign with India Partners coming up.
So you're not late for work?
No, nor is it Thursday.
Right,
It's Tuesday.
Oh my gosh, everybody's... What's going on?
The last time we did this, my wife literally did panic. She got in the car and she heard you talking. She was like, I'm late.
I think Alan, our engineer, did the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so red alert. It's Tuesday. It's 7. It's 7
o'clock.
7 o'clock Tuesday. Brian, maybe someone's never heard Dave before. Can you do like an intro?
Yeah.
Please?
I'd love that. Tell people about me, Brian.
What is Dave here for? What do we
So,
do this hour?
David Szfranski likes getting caught in the rain.
Long walks in the park.
Yeah, no, he's a wonderful man who's been a partner of the radio station for many, many years. Preceding the show, this here show, he's president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group. No one knows what that means. It's like a financial advisory firm.
Yes, it is a financial advisory
Did I
firm.
say that right?
Yeah, well, we're pretty close. Yeah, we're a registered investment advisory firm.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I have a friend who works in like finance or whatever.
They do?
In Cleveland. And I call him an investment banker, and he's not that. He goes, it's close enough. You don't understand.
I think the most important part of that statement is that you have a friend.
Yeah, I know. It's shocking.
We were surprised.
Other than me and you? Yeah.
And Dave joins us every Thursday from 8 to 9 to answer financial questions. We have fun. We answer questions. It's a great time. All you have to do is ask them, okay? So this is when you do that. You call or text 440-546-2255.
We're going to ask for texts today. We are so sorry. We're having difficulties with the phone system.
The phone's lighting up.
So if you're calling
But
and
it
you're not
doesn't
getting,
show up.
if you're calling and you're not getting through, it is not because we're ignoring you.
Right. We wouldn't ignore you.
Our little light turns on, but then it says there's nobody there.
Oh.
So we're not ignoring you.
No, we are actually.
Just we can't do anything about it.
Dave's answering the phones.
So
hello.
Text in your financial questions, 440-546-2255. By the way, sneak preview of the next couple of days as well. We should do that. If you recall, a couple months ago, I had the wonderful opportunity to travel with some colleagues with India Partners to Mumbai, India.
Remember what I did for you, though?
Yes, I remember vividly.
Yeah, wasn't that great?
Yeah,
Well,
you
tell
bumped me
tell
up.
everybody.
You bumped me up with your points.
Yeah, I got Brian into lay flat first class.
For one of the 6 flights,
Yes.
lest anyone think I was in luxury.
That's enough.
That's so many flights to get to India.
That's a lot.
Can't they make it easier? Why'd they put it so far away?
India? Yeah.
God?
Yeah. Well, the crazy part is we had a chance with India Partners to go see some of the red light districts, which was overwhelming. And then ultimately we got to see safe houses where children are rescued from the streets of the red light districts and given the gospel and safety. It's amazing. And we're going to ask for your financial support to fund those safe houses. I've been to all of the safe houses. I'll tell you some of those stories. They're amazing and they're definitely worth your investment. We'll talk about that tomorrow and Thursday. That's why Dave's in early.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary thing that they're doing. I go to Brazil and I see out in the open the sex trade. I mean, it's a stark reminder of what's actually going on in the world around us and how at risk some people are. They're just absolutely at risk.
Yeah, and you have these women trapped in the red light districts, and I'll explain more about that. They can't just leave for a lot of reasons. They end up having children. And sometimes there's stories of kids who get tied up under the beds so that they're not vulnerable in the street. Their mom would rather tie them up so they're safe.
Yeah.
Than let them roam the streets.
Our missionaries in Brazil originally went there, Tom and Kathy. Our church sent them out like 40 years ago because the Brazilian police, they kept finding street kids shot dead. Like, well, this is a real problem.
Yes.
And they found out it was the police doing it. Because they were going to be criminals. They're going to get shot dead anyway. And so the police were just pre-shooting them dead. And that's why they went there to open up an orphanage and to raise churches up to take these kids and these street kids, usually born out of the sex trade or just extreme poverty. And that's how we eventually raised up a pastor that went to the Amazon that reached out to the indigenous people, and that's where we go. And when you're in Manaus and Maués, Manaus is a city of 2 million people or 3 million people. Sex trade's just out in front. In Maués, it's just there. It's like part of your daily. You're going to walk by it, you're going to see it, and you could pretend like it doesn't exist, or you could do something about it.
This is where the church steps in. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, first question.
I used TurboTax and I owe some money. How am I to pay? I assumed they shared my debit info that I used to prepare the forms. TurboTax.
No, they
probably have a
didn't
voucher.
share. They do not share your. They should not share your information with the IRS. You're gonna. Typically, there's a couple ways that you could pay your IRS tax, but you can go to irs.gov and set up an account and share your information there, and that's a secure way to do it. That's probably how I would do it. That's how I do it. So I feel comfortable with it, but they're not going to, unless you allow them to share your information, they're not going to share your checking account information. But if you owe money, there's a couple things you could do. This is why it does help to do your taxes a little bit early if you're a W-2 employee. So you're getting paid a paycheck, and maybe you have a 401k to participate in, and that will reduce your taxable income. But if you do your taxes a little bit early, you could kind of play around with the numbers and say, well, what if I did this IRA, this traditional IRA contribution? Would that reduce my tax liability? So you have a choice. And your choice is, well, I could either give it to my IRA or I could give it to the government. Who would I rather give it to? This is an easy answer. It's not a trick question, Brian. Who would you rather give it to?
Me.
Yes! Brian wins again. You are undefeated today, Brian. Undefeated.
Well, like most days.
You know, I have this theory that if I golf. I'm a golfer.
I don't.
I've never had a hole-in-one. And I could share these fake stories about how I was so close one time, but not really. But if I ever get a hole-in-one, I think I'm just throwing my clubs in a lake and walking off the golf course, and I'm never going to golf again.
That's what I would do.
Do you know genetically?
Well, I might throw Brian's clubs in the lake and walk off the golf
Keep yours, yeah.
Well, I'd have to buy clubs first.
Yes.
They'd be left-handed, which nobody would want except me.
No.
And genetically, I'm predisposed to get a hole-in-one because my father got one. Oh. He got a hole-in-one.
Yeah.
He was in the paper. It was amazing.
Uh-huh. I was golfing with a football player once. Big. I mean, he's like 6'8". He just started golfing. He goes, oh, David, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I got a hole-in-one last week. He said, I hate you so much right now. I've been golfing my whole life.
All right, it's 7:18. Time for a quick break, but we got more time for your financial questions for Dave Szfranski. 440-546-2255.
Moody Radio is thankful for listeners and support from businesses like Duma Meats and Farm Market. Duma Meats and Farm Market, supporting Moody Radio in Cleveland and surrounding areas. More information about Duma Meats and Farm Market is at dumameats.com.
When CareNet conducted a national survey of hundreds of women who'd had an abortion, a stunning statistic emerged. 4 out of 10 women who chose an abortion were regularly attending a church at the time. Abortion isn't just an out-there issue in the community, it's inside the church. Making Life Disciples is an exclusive CareNet curriculum designed to equip churches to provide compassion, hope, help, and discipleship to women and men considering abortion. Making Life Disciples is a simple, easy-to-access training that allows your church to begin a gospel-centered approach to caring for the abortion vulnerable. Transform your church's response to abortion, form a network of security for people at risk, and become a central point of compassion in your community. Learn more about the Making Life Disciples curriculum at care-net.org. Search Making Life Disciples at care-net.org.
A parent's job often involves questions from your children, and some are harder than others. On this week's episode of the Car Seat Questions podcast, our guest guides us in how to talk to our kids about the loss of a pregnancy.
Subscribe and follow the Car Seat Questions podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.
Join the conversation by call or text at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
It is 7:22 on WCRF, Mornings with Brian. Dave Szfranski with us, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group, answering your financial questions. It's not Thursday, it's not 8, it's Tuesday, and it's 7:23.
Yeah, I know. I had to leave really early. I only got 1 cup of coffee at home. I actually, my dogs woke me up. TJ and Max woke me up early this morning, and so I could have had another cup, but I'm okay.
TJ and Max. Their names are like Pixie and Piper or something like that.
Penny.
Oh, thank you. Penny.
Piper. Who would name their dog Piper?
Who would name their dog Pixie and Penny?
Piper is a great name for a dog.
So you shut your mouth, Dave.
Okay, I'm going to shut it right now.
All right, next question.
All right. My husband and I have 2 children and 1 on the way. We live paycheck to paycheck for the most part, with only a little bit of money in the savings that we're able to put away for tax refunds. Tax refunds. My husband has benefits and a retirement plan through work, but I would like to start putting something away for our future to contribute to because I'm a house cleaner and I have no such benefits. With our financial situation, we would not be able to afford a lump sum investment, but maybe something small monthly. Does Dave have any recommendation for a way I can prepare for the future and retirement on such a small budget?
Yes, I do. One of the things that they're in the throes of it right now. They're raising kids. They're having kids. It's always going to be expensive. And one of the things that I recommend for people in this particular situation is the place to start is really with your budget. You got to have a budget. And for them, they have to be nothing less than budget assassins. They got to take all the fluff out of their budget.
Yeah.
And they've got to they've got to be...
No fun.
Well, I'm not saying that, but it's the fluff, the things, the little things, the little kind of like the foxes in the hen house type thing where little things go a long way. Every dollar matters, so you got to look at it that way. And what I want you to do is I really want you to track your expenses for a month and figure out where all the money's going. I'm not saying you're making mistakes. I'm not accusing you of being inappropriate with money or anything like that.
You just got to know.
We just got to know. So let's find out where it's going. And then because she does clean houses, what I would do is I would set up a little corporation. I'd set up an LLC, and I would open up. You don't need to set up an LLC to do this, but I would open up a SEP, a Simplified Employee Pension Plan. It's super easy to do. You can put away a lot of money. You don't have to put away a lot of money, but as your income grows, or if you're not going to do that, at least an IRA, a Roth, or a regular IRA, and you could start saving with as little as, get this, Brian, $25 a month. Right now, that's a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
There's more.
For Brian, it's a cup of coffee at Starbucks. For you, Lauren, it's 2 cups. For everybody else, it's 2 cups. But not Brian.
No, of course not.
Brian's a little bougie.
I have expectations.
He's going to go heavy on the sprinkles.
Heavy on the whip.
Yeah, extra sprinkles. What's
I'm
wrong with
sure
that?
they're charging for extra sprinkles, Ed. So I have this thing where I whenever somebody says reservation, your name for I say Armando.
Yeah,
it's a long story. I'm not going to go into it right now, but I was at a Starbucks one time. There's nobody else there, and I order on the app, and my coffee comes up, and they're like, coffee? And I'm like, who's it for? Like, Armando. I'm the only one in there. Well, who else would it be for? But I made him say it.
That's great.
And I was with Mayor Phil in Amish country, and they're like, name for the reservation? I said, and I look at Phil, I said, Armando, of course. He goes, I knew it! I knew you were going to do it!
Well, by the way, it's very inexpensive to set up an LLC with the state of Ohio. It's like $100. It's
Yeah,
not that
they
much.
don't necessarily have to do it, but whenever you're going into somebody's house, there's liability. Whenever you're going into somebody's house. If you own a company where you send people into people's houses, you better be protecting yourself because anybody could say anything about anything.
So, okay, maybe they are budget assassins, okay? And they are tight on their budget, and they really don't have that much to
$25 a month. We could start with $25 a month. And when you first start saving, I know this is going to sound strange to people, but I don't really care about the amount. I care about the habit. I want to start a habit pattern that is successful and repeatable and doable and easy. So if you could do those things, $25 a month, anybody could do $25 a month.
And where do you put it?
There's great companies like Vanguard, Schwab. Well, Schwab isn't a great company. I don't love Schwab, but they will suffice. So somebody in your church could help you start this. Don't use commissioned funds. Don't pay a commission to invest your money. For heaven's sakes, don't pay a commission. It's expensive. And when you think about how much that's taking away from, now it's okay to do a fee-based, it's okay to do a no-load fund, but these big companies all they want is your money. And they'll let you start, if you're going to do an automatic, so a monthly automatic withdrawal from your checking account, they'll let you start with $25 a month. It's really easy. It's so easy. I could show you how to do it. It's easy. A lot of people could. Start at your church. Find out if there's somebody in your church that's in the business. And it's not monkey business, Brian. It's the investment business.
That's what I'm in. Monkey business.
You are.
Lauren.
I don't. If that means that I'm also there, that's not what this is.
Oh, okay.
Lauren is serious about her profession. Yes. But it's so easy to get started. Don't not get started because you think it's too expensive. It's not. It's super cheap.
Okay. How do I go about collections? I've been trying to purchase my first home, and my credit is hurting because of them. I do only have $2,170 in collections. My credit score is 582. Our family is a single-income household. I make $46,000 a year. Are there any companies that will help with a down payment?
Boy, they're in a tough spot, Dave.
There's no companies that are going to help with a down payment. That's got to come out of your pocket. But on the collection side,
you can negotiate with collectors, can't you?
You can, but they're going to. It doesn't really help your credit to negotiate with them. What it does help is to pay them off, and to make sure that they're legitimate. Sometimes collections are on your record. And for instance, I have somebody that tries to steal my credit on a monotonously regular basis. They've been unsuccessful, but their collections also show up on my credit file. So like I look at my credit score and there's like 820, 840, 560. It's like Sesame Street. Something here doesn't belong. You know that? Where they're like four squares and
one of these things
doesn't belong.
Like
right.
the other.
So I use a credit monitoring app from Costco, which I really like, because you can call them and they speak our language. They're like Americans. I love that. And they call you back and they follow up. And so he said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to separate your credit files. I'm like, yeah, I'm all in. Separate those credit files. The minute they did that, that credit score popped up. So you can, if you pay off those collections, it's going to help. It's going to stay on there, but it's going to show that they're satisfied. And that's what lenders really want to know, is that you pay your debt. So find a way to satisfy those collections. And then I might wait till next year to buy this house because I think you're going to get a much better look at interest rates next year. When we started this year, the pundits in the market were saying, oh, there's going to be 7 rate cuts. But if you listen here, you know that was never going to be true. It's not true. It's not going to happen. Inflation's still accelerating. So I think there are going to be rate cuts, but it's going to be next year sometime. And you're going to get a 5% mortgage. You might even get sub 5%, but that's going to be where it settles out at.
Is there down payment help, though? That was one of their questions.
Yeah, mom and dad, aunts and uncles.
But outside of a personal loan from a family member, there really aren't many options, are there?
No, you could go, there's 3% loans where you could do a 3% down payment.
Okay, yeah.
And there are some no down payment loans. However, they're not going to be for lower credit scores. They're just not going to do. They're going to want money up front. The lower your credit score is, the more money you're going to have to come up with. So that's why you really want to work on your credit score first. So don't get the cart in front of the horse right now. Take care of these issues so that you're getting a better deal when you actually do go buy a house.
Yeah, Lauren, the cart goes behind the horse.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Dave is, he's been around for a while. Yeah.
We still put the cart behind the horse, yes.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. You see it in my neighborhood.
Unless you're with Rusty. Remember Rusty when Kramer fed him all those beans? He's like, Rusty!
I forget
then
what it
you
was
want
called.
to be in front of the horse.
I forget what that stuff was called. Beano or something? Or I forget.
Apparently it was powerful.
7:32, it's time for a quick break, and we come back more of your financial questions for Dave Szfranski. Gail jumped on the line here. She goes, whoa, Dave? Yeah, it's Tuesday. Don't worry, it's Tuesday. It's the 7 o'clock hour, 7:32. It's a special visit from Dave because we have a campaign coming up the next 2 days. So we don't want you to miss out on your dose of Dave for the week.
Yeah, and Lauren said, would you come in on Tuesday? I'm like, hey, I'm like super flexible. Yeah, I'll do it.
And Lauren said?
No.
440-546-2255.
Dr. Tony Evans says that while religion has always been about following the rules, Christianity is a different animal altogether. How different? We'll find out today as we spend 2 minutes with Tony.
Jesus says, I have come to bring you something new. I'm not just trying to get you to fix up something old. I'm tearing up your religious order, not biblical truth, but all the stuff you've stacked on top of it. I hope you know religion without Jesus can make you a slave, can hold you hostage. It can make you miserable serving Jesus Christ without a smile because you're trying to keep up with all the regulations. And it's a never-ending barrage of religiosity, of Phariseeism. Jesus says, no one puts new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the new wine will burst the skins, and it will be spilled out, and the skins will be ruined. But new wine must be put into fresh wineskins. What is Jesus saying? I didn't come here to put my new message in your old churchianity. I didn't come here to be an additive to your faith. I'm bringing new stuff. It's the traditions of men that have been stacked on to our faith that's turned it into old, stale Christianity.
Give your faith a fresh new start with the help of Tony's CD series, Divine Reset. Available online at tonyevans.org. Then join us next time for 2 Minutes with Tony.
India Partners works to stop human trafficking, and a partnership in that work is Moody Radio. When you help rescue a girl from the red light districts of Mumbai, India, you are standing up to injustice and living out Psalm 82. It says, defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and oppressed. Now keep that in mind as you hear what happened to Pallavi, who was trafficked and sold at 14 years old.
She took me to a place, I don't know where, and there were a lot of men, and there is no way out.
For 8 years, sometimes as often as 15 times a day, Pallavi was abused.
Morning they used to come, afternoon they used to come, like a commodity.
So let's go right back to Psalm 82. Defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and oppressed. Learn how you can be part of saving, maybe even changing, a young girl's life today. Go to indiapartners.org/Moody. That's indiapartners.org/Moody.
I remember we met at a Starbucks over here, and I made you and Scott Cruz buy me coffee because you had punished me one time in Chicago with like a $14 cup of coffee.
I met you for coffee there knowing that we didn't have space for you in the schedule.
You were such a jerk, too.
And I got a really expensive coffee.
It was the longest drink that you could order at Starbucks.
Yeah, I was like, let's see, what's the most expensive thing? I'll take 2, thanks. It's on him.
And also, you can't come on our show.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
I did tell him that.
That's exactly what happened.
Look at how the Lord worked it out.
That's right.
Somebody buy me a drink.
See, it did all work out, Dave. Here you are.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're just tuning in, Dave Szfranski, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group, he can't be with us Thursday because we have a campaign running. So Lauren invited him 2 days early at an hour earlier than usual. Yeah. So your whole life is either better now or just totally discombobulated, which is the word of the day, by the way.
Or
Lauren.
you've never heard me before and I'm ruining your day, which I'm okay with.
Yes. So, Lauren, for the word of the day, whenever I say it, you have to scream, okay? Discombobulated.
Why would I ever scream?
Do it. Come on. Play along.
Discombobulated.
I'm not playing along.
He allowed us to shave his beard.
Yeah, what are you doing over there?
You're not paying me $5,000 to scream.
Goodness, Lauren. Wow.
She has to keep her radio voice healthy. Screaming is not good for you.
Make me scratchy.
Oh, boy. Here we go. The women ganging up on me again.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. Are mailed Meta Bank cards a scam?
Can you say that again?
Mailed Meta Bank cards.
Is that a scam?
Are they a scam?
I've never heard of Meta Bank. It's almost like...
And if they sent you a card, you didn't ask for it, that's probably not a good sign.
It reminds me of the Roadrunner and Acme. Everything was Acme. The safe that got dropped by Coyote was Acme. Meta Bank. Mega Bank. Mega Bank sounds like a scam.
Nobody would send you a card if you didn't ask for it.
Well,
not one that works.
Yeah. I don't know. It might not be a scam, but I don't... Look, Things that arrive in the mail like that, I shred. I shred all of that. If a credit card application arrives in the mail that I didn't ask for, I shred it. I think everybody should have, that's responsible anyway. Some people shouldn't have a credit card. Most people should. A major credit card, like a MasterCard or Visa or a Diners Club.
Oh, my.
Is that still a thing?
Excuse me, do you accept Diners Club here? I don't know what you're talking about, sir, but would you please leave? A major credit card for emergencies and purchases. I use a credit card in lieu of cash, which just means I have the money to pay the bill. I pay the bill every single month. Mm-hmm. I never run a balance on credit cards. Don't ever run a balance on credit cards. If you run a balance on credit cards, you're spending money you do not have, and you should stop using your credit card until the balance is paid off. If you could do that, I have just increased your odds of financial success exponentially by doing that one simple thing. So if you hear me now and believe me later, you could retire at some point in time. Otherwise, you will spend a life of obscurity working in the coal mines asking for more gruel. That's what's going to happen. So don't run a balance on your credit cards.
Okay.
If you have a balance on credit cards, it's not the end of the world. We can get through this. We just have to work at it a little bit. You have to kind of grind our face on some broken glass for a little while, and you'll get through it. And then you're not going to run a balance on credit cards again. But when they mail you an unsolicited offer for a credit card, I probably wouldn't take it.
Okay.
The tough one's when you go to a store and you're like, hey, if you sign up today, you get $1 million off your purchase.
Right. I wonder if there's something in it for them that they would offer you these great offers
There has
just to sign up for some credit.
I went to Tractor Supply and they let it on, they just put it on hot. It was like everybody was trying to get me to sign up for this credit card.
That's because
I was like, my wife won't let me.
Yes.
Dave won't let
His
me.
wife won't let him do a lot of things.
That's what I kept saying. It's like, oh, I talked to my wife.
Did you have to lie to her about where you were going? You're not going to Tractor Supply, are you?
No, it's for her animals.
You
It's
better
fine.
not come back with a new flannel.
I don't buy clothes there.
I don't
He
think
buys
you
them at
buy
Menards.
clothes. Well, Brian has his own clothing line. You probably didn't know this. It's called the
Here
Hipster
we go.
Doofus line.
I thought it was the homeless grifter.
Well, yeah, that's the
day.
low end version. The homeless drifter.
Okay,
right.
next question.
Yeah.
If you're starting with a large sum of money to invest with, such as proceeds from an estate, is a fee-based system okay at that point? I'm looking at an investment firm that has a 0.25% fee per quarter of the year, and they're selling that fee based on the work that they will do to make it grow, and it incentivizes them to work hard because their portion will grow as well.
Yes, that is a fair fee, and it's actually below industry average. The industry average fee is about 1.5%, which I think is kind of pricey.
So 0.25% is
Well,
very...
no, it's 1% a year. It's 0.25% every quarter.
Oh, I see.
1% a year. And yeah, I think that's a fair fee. And it's an easy fee because the math is easy at 1%. And I like fee-based because it puts you on the same team as your advisor. They make more money when you make more money. And when you make less money, they make less money. Now, they still make money when you're making less money. But I think that's a fair way to approach it. Yes.
Wow. He doesn't like many things. That person did it right. First person.
That person did it right. And that's the way the industry is really progressing. For a long time, it was, well, if you don't do no loads, you're just a moron. Well, with no loads, you get no advice also because nobody's making money there. And before that, it was all commission oriented. And the only time your advisor got paid is when they made a trade. Well, that's an adversarial relationship because you don't always need to make a change, but they don't get paid unless they make a change. So if the boat payment was due, your portfolio needed adjusting. If the kid was going to college, your portfolio probably needed a little bit adjusting. And I don't like that. I think it's just adversarial from the beginning. So fee basis is the way to go. Yes, and I like it.
Okay. If a company is giving raises in the 2.5% to 3% range, that does not keep up with the inflation, is it worth it to stay at that company?
Well, I've noticed some of the economic data that I follow, Brian, Lauren, Daria,
I follow
Ron.
my own economic
I follow
data.
Dave's.
is
Whatever Dave says.
The quit rate. It's a number that the Department of Labor publishes, how many people are quitting as a percentage of the workforce. It's going down right now. It's better to see your quit rate a little higher, because that means that people have, if they're quitting a job, they're generally going to another job that they like better, and those opportunities are kind of narrowing a bit. But it is really hard right now to live on a 2.5% raise when inflation's going up by 5.5%, and that's the actual number. And it's even higher if you include rent and increased mortgage payments. We used to calculate it that way. We don't anymore because it looked bad. Probably is why we stopped doing that. But real inflation's accelerating right now. It's at about 5.5%.
I'm not certain any company is offering. Well, that's
keeping
not
up
true.
with inflation.
No,
Some
there
companies
are. There
Yeah.
are. There definitely are. And because it is way less expensive to keep a current employee than it is to go out and get a new one. To train, the downtime, are the relationships going to work? All these things are calculated in the cost of a new employee.
So maybe this person, I start looking around?
I would look around. Heck yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be
how
like
are you
super
gonna,
intense.
How are you going to know if they're going to keep their raises that keep up with inflation? How will you know that when you're looking to start?
Well,
a new
you
company?
don't. But if you have a skill that is marketable and
I'm
somebody's willing to pay you, yes, you are definitely out.
I'm out.
Unless donkey rearing is a skill that we can get paid. I'm not talking about your kids either. I'm talking about your actual dog. Yes.
My wife's good at all that stuff. I'm just there.
My wife raises the kids.
I'm the arm candy.
I don't know what happened when I was gone. I tell people I'm her trophy husband. Obviously,
I resemble that remark.
Yes. So getting a job where it pays more, people are going to have to do these things, because if your job won't keep up with inflation, I got to eat. Come on. Everybody is, this is not a partnership. We're not in this together. When it comes to your job, you're kind of in it for the income, and you got to do what's in your best interest. You got to act in your own best interest. That's capitalism in a nutshell. Now, when you act in your best interest, you're also helping other people because you're producing a product, a good or a service, so everybody benefits, but you got to get paid for it. And if you can go out and make more money, and it's a place that you would, you count the cost because there's change involved and travel time and all those things, I'd probably take the more money right now because you don't have a choice. That's the position that our government has currently put us in.
All right, 7:45, time for a quick break. You're listening to Mornings with Brian on WCRF. It's an early visit for Dave. Early as in 2 days early, because we have a campaign running the next 2 days for India partners. And he's normally on from 8 to 9, but it's 7 to 8 today, blah, blah, blah. We have one more segment with Dave. Text right now, or you could call now. The phones are working again.
Phones are working.
440-546-2255. Again, 440-546-2255.
Brian's third grade teacher left us a voicemail.
Please record your message.
I always thought that Brian would be a circus performer or a radio host. At least I got one right.
It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. And maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true people are way more satisfied after making the switch too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. See what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
We invite you to visit Moody's campus in the heart of downtown Chicago for Experience Moody, our campus visit day, on Friday, April 26th to Friday, May 3rd. Experience life as a Moody student by attending class, meeting with students and advisors, and exploring our world-class city. We're excited to welcome you to learn more about whether Moody is right for you or your student. Register to attend Experience Moody on April 26th or May 3rd at moody.edu/Experience Moody.
And he is the king of the jungle.
So Dave, he texted me from a number that doesn't seem like an actual phone number. It says, Brian, this is Jungle Dave. I'm stuck in the jungle until tomorrow. He's in a remote village in the Amazon.
That was the old satellite phone that I would take. Now I have a Starlink there. So basically, I'm totally connected in the jungle.
Yeah, it's crazy. The first time you brought that, you were in a boat moving like through the Amazon River.
Yes.
And we were FaceTiming.
Yes.
It was amazing. Wow. The world we live in
Elon
today.
Musk is the greatest American who's not an American.
Yeah, well, he helped connect my house, that's for sure. Not him personally, but I paid for his equipment and it.
He might have come to your house if you told him you loved rockets or something like that. You know, because he does that.
I don't know that I do, though.
Your second field could be his new launch pad for his rockets.
Yeah, you got plenty of space out there.
Plenty
I
of space.
just opened that up for the animals. They get to eat for a while. No rockets there.
Okay.
440-546-2255. A few more minutes here with Dave Szfranski, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group.
Married couple with 2 car payments. That's our only consumer debt. Is it worth pausing our 401k contributions to race and get the auto loans paid off?
I love this question because it really comes down to just the cost of money. So it's not what does the debt make you feel bad? Do you not like paying the debt? Do you have a hard time sleeping with debt? You know, I have this debt and I haven't slept since I took out this car loan. I know those people. It's just the cost of the debt. So, you know, retirement is one of those things that's going to happen. It's the latest thing that happens financially for most people. And so you could afford to spend a little bit less now to meet those goals. But if you had a 9% car loan, I definitely would pause some of that and pay off that car debt.
Oh, wow.
If you had a 1% loan or a 0% loan, those, existed for a while before Chair Powell raised the rates through the ceiling.
I'm never ready for it.
I live when you're not ready, Brian.
There's like a certain wind up to his face. You gotta be watching.
I try not to look at him too much. That's the.
Yeah, this is better that way for everybody. Brian's asked me to wear a veil in this studio, but I'm just against it. I'm philosophically opposed to veiling this beauty.
But you will wear a sash.
I will wear a sash, yes. So if it's a low-cost loan, then I'm probably not going to be in a rush to pay that off. For instance, Brian, you and I, being the financial geniuses that we are.
True.
Right? We got a low-price loan for our houses, low-price mortgages.
Yeah.
It does not make sense to be in a huge rush to pay that off.
Exactly.
Because I could make double my mortgage rate in a money market right now. We're actually making cash off of cash. Haven't done this since the early 2000s. Fat stacks of cash off of cash. That's
right.
hard to do, but we're doing it right now. Now, is it outpacing inflation? Just barely. Just barely. So it's the cost of money. If it's a high-price loan, I would pay it off sooner. For instance, my advice on housing has changed based on current economic conditions because of none other than Chair Powell.
He's becoming more and more of a pirate each week.
He's the only pirate, Chairman Brian.
All right, next question, Lauren.
Oh my gosh. I'm 33, married with 5 kids.
Whoa. You should race them to 6.
Yes.
Do you want 6?
33, 5 kids.
Race them to 5. Tie him to 5.
Made almost $97,000 last year and paid $13.5K in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I have $2,900 in a company matched 401k. Should I stay with the matched 401 or go to a Roth? Which is the best option?
Oh, I know.
Say it, Brian. Say it.
Take the free money, buddy.
You got to at least take the free money.
Leave it in the match.
Yeah. Now, if your 401k, because the 401k market has changed pretty dramatically in the last several years because these big companies like Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, the Empower, their 401ks stink. They're just not that good. What they've done is they've channeled a lot of people to these life cycle funds, lifestyle funds. I don't really like those funds. They're not my favorite. I think they're kind of like a cheap way out. And you could do a lot better in some of Fidelity and Vanguard's other funds if they offer them. But even if you have a horrible 401k and they're offering you a match, you must take the match because that's free money. So all you're doing is you're putting some money in there and they're saying, hey, we're going to match that up to like 6% or whatever. And then if you have a really bad 401k, I would consider a Roth. And at 33, they have a lot of time. See, the benefit to a Roth is in longevity of growing tax deferred, because all of that money that grows after you put in the money comes out tax free if you take it out at the age of 59 and a half and you've got to be in there for at least 5 years, but tax free. Imagine that. Imagine if you had $100,000 of income and it was tax free. That would be like earning $140,000. And if, the Biden administration right now is out there touting tax increases, how they're going to increase your taxes. And the Trump tax cuts are going to expire next year. And if that is allowed to happen, everybody's taxes are going up. Doesn't matter your income. Everybody's taxes will be going up if those tax cuts expire. And so I love tax-free. If you could do things tax-free, I'm all in.
Okay.
A lot of numbers in there.
What is the best source to go to for the critical economic indicators of a country? Example, the U.S., and which are the best economic indicators to track? I ask because it seems like media outlets all give out conflicting data.
Yeah, they do. They interpret the data is interpreted differently depending on.
Well, and then there's different economic factors. Are you looking at this or that? So, like, what statistics do you look for primarily?
Well, I look at the headline numbers, like the jobs report, like the PCE, the personal consumption expenditures report comes out on Friday. Those are good numbers to look at. I look at the quit rate. I look at GDP, but then I drill down. Like the last employment report that came out said, oh, well, there's 300,000 jobs. I'm like, well, that sounds good on the headline, but then you drill down just a little bit, like page 2. You see, well, 100,000 of those jobs were government jobs.
Wow.
We don't want government growing. We want government shrinking. If times are so good, if everything is so awesome, you should be sending people out to the private sector, not bringing them into the government. What is 100,000 more government employees going to do that is not going to mess up your life? Now, I was in the Army, so I can speak to this specifically.
I met somebody from your tank battalion or whatever it's called.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, gosh. I'm so sorry. I forgot.
Military veteran guy. I don't remember his name,
He
but
was very nice.
They called you Sergeant Ski. That's what he said.
Yeah, that's what he
right.
said.
That's right. With respect, they called me that.
And he
I don't know
also
about that.
is more afraid of Lauren than your sergeant.
Oh, he didn't tell me that.
You think he told me that? If I remember right.
Yeah, probably.
Did you give him one of those soul-piercing glares that you gave
No,
to me?
I was
that one
very
day?
gentle and kind.
Oh, how unusual.
No, wait. Where were we here? Okay, so what?
So
what were your
indicators for
sources?
economic.
Yeah, my sources, you could go to the BEA.
I love them.
There's tons and tons. The Fed puts out tons of economic
Things
data.
go right to the Fed.
There's each Fed bank has their own app where they put out their own data based on their region. And you could read that stuff.
Do they interpret the data for you, or
No.
do they just put it out like raw data?
They put out a lot of raw data. And then, like, for instance, the Federal Open Market Committee, which is chaired by none other than Chair Powell.
You're like really loud today.
They, thank you. Well,
got a
that's because
lot
you
of
made me come in
information.
at 7 o'clock. So it's going to be painful for everybody, not just me. That's how I operate. If I'm going to suffer, we're all going to suffer.
Is that in the Bible?
I have 2 more questions.
Yes.
Do you think any rates are coming in 2024?
Rate cuts.
That's what did I say?
You said just rates. Yeah.
Oh.
You meant rate cuts.
Yeah. Rate cuts are coming in 2024, or do you think Chair Powell will sit tight?
I'm sorry, who?
I'm not screaming. I'm not screaming.
I wonder if our friend Henry is around anywhere.
They wrote it in all caps.
Oh, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Chair Powell probably will cut rates one time, maybe.
Okay.
And the data. So January was hot, February was hot.
It was actually cold those months.
March was hot data. April was hot data. You get
And
one
hot
more.
means bad.
It means bad. It means it means that inflation is accelerating. Fuel prices are up. I think the war in the Middle East, Israel got attacked by a sovereign nation. They've never been attacked directly from Iran before. I think this has the likelihood to expand. And when that happens, when and if that happens, oil prices are going to go. That's going to be inflationary. I think inflation's going up. I find it hard to believe that they're going to cut rates this year. That doesn't mean they're not going to cut rates this year. The Fed would really love rates to be lower. They just can't do it right now. Yeah. The data will not allow that to happen. If I was just saying, well, what do I think they're going to do? I don't think they're going to cut rates this year. I think it's coming in 2025, probably the end of the first quarter. They don't want to be political. A lot of people say, well, they don't want this president elected. They don't want that guy elected. Ideally, the Fed doesn't care about that. They care about economics. That's what I want them to care about. I don't know how true that is. I don't think they can cut rates this year. I just don't think it's possible, but I think they probably will once.
Okay. And last question. What are several of your top picks of institutions to open a money market account in?
Invesco has one that's really, it's the highest paying one that I can find, and I'm in this every single day.
That sounds horrible. Looking at that every day. Ugh.
It's not bad. And I got great screens, and I have a couch I could take a nap on if things get boring. I can go golfing. I can play with TJ or Max, the ones whoever I
take. Your
pocket
pocket protector with all your pens in it.
Yeah.
Invesco. Okay, give two more. The top three.
So there's this. Chase has a couple that are really good. CLJXX is the symbol for that one. There's some tax-free ones that you can get. For me, I just want to get the highest paying yield. Money markets are basically secure instruments. The government won't let them go below $1. They pay an interest payment. There's no growth there or anything. So you're just looking for the highest paying one. Now, money markets are really good instruments to use inside of tax qualified things like an IRA or a Roth IRA. And then I also like short-term government bonds. You could buy a 30-day government bond. There's some tax preference to it. So if the rates are pretty similar and you're in a taxable account, I would opt for the short-term government bond. Super easy to buy. It's really easy. It's so easy. Most people haven't bought a bond ever, an individual bond, but it's easy to do. You could do it. I trust you.
And you could buy, you said a 30-day, like a 1-month bond?
You could buy a 1-day government bond.
What's the rate of return on a 1-month bond?
5.23% if you annualized it. So you're not going to get all 5.23% because you're only in for 1/12 of that. So you get whatever that would equal.
That's a lot of math. All right. It's 8 o'clock. Dave Szfranski's been with us for a special visit, 2 days and an hour early.
Yeah, I'm going to be in the parking lot napping, just in case you see me out there. I'm okay.
Okay. No welfare check needed. All right. Dave Szfranski, again, the best way to get a hold of him, he's president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group, is come to us. And he will not be here this Thursday because we have a special campaign running with our friends at India Partners. We'll chat more about that in the hours to come here. But Dave, thanks for coming early.
Hey, my pleasure.
You did have fun, didn't you?
Yeah, I do. I love coming here. Yeah.
Lauren didn't give you any of those like death stares today.
Soul piercing.
You didn't get any.
To the depths of my existence.
It's a good day.
Good.
Yes.
It's a good day.
Yeah.
All right. Again, to get a hold of Dave, come to us, 440-546-2255. Dave brought up the war in the Middle East. And our good friend, Dr. Glen Duerr, he's professor of international studies at Cedarville. He's going to join us to talk about Israel.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to stick around.
Oh, you can,
You
but
can
not
listen.
in here.
You can listen in your car.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
may not speak.
All three of us instantly kicked you out. Did you notice that?
I love to talk politics. I would love to talk politics.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah.
Bye. Thanks, Dave.
Goodbye.
It's 8:01. Here's Ron's News.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
The State Department says Israel's response to the October 7th attack by Hamas has resulted in a severe humanitarian crisis. It's 8:02. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. In its 2023 Human Rights Report on Israel, the West Bank, and Gaza, the State Department said Israel has killed or injured more than 77,000 Palestinians, or about 3% of Gaza's population. The report also noted what it describes as credible reports of significant human rights issues, including arbitrary or unlawful killings, enforced disappearances, and torture by government officials. The Akron Municipal Court is offering some special opportunities next month for engaged folks wanting a themed wedding. On May 4th, the court will host Star Wars-themed weddings at the Highland Universal Gathering Spot. Couples trying to tie the knot there will also be treated to a showing of The Empire Strikes Back. And Lorain County grand jurors have indicted a man accused of impersonating an officer. Authorities say 32-year-old Joseph Hengst called 911 on the morning of March 2nd, claiming to be the county sheriff, and later made the same claim when he showed up at the Lorain Water Purification Plant asking for water. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
Families, here's a wonderful resource to keep the whole family grounded in Scripture and to connect your kids with the bigger themes of the Bible. From Today in the Word, kid-friendly family studies that go along with our monthly devotional topics. This month, Fear of the Lord. It goes hand in hand with the Today in the Word devotional. To get your free devotional and the Go Along family study, go to todayintheword.com. Spend time in God's Word together.
In sports, the Cavaliers cruised past the Magic 96-86 to earn a 2-0 lead in their opening round NBA playoff series. Meantime, the Pirates edged the Brewers 4-2. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Partly sunny skies this morning, becoming cloudy with a chance of showers this afternoon. Our high temperatures should be in the lower 60s. And at last check, skies have cleared up. It's now partly sunny in Cleveland. 52 degrees. Akron and Canton the same, but 47 degrees. And in Youngstown, it's even partly sunny and 48 degrees.
It's time for your moron moment.
Hark thee, sirras and mistresses. Today is Talk Like Shakespeare Day, and it gives us the chance to speak like one of the most influential playwrights of all time, William Shakespeare. Yea, and merrily, you can speak like the Bard of Avon by replacing basic words like you and they for ye and thee or thou. Methinks that wouldst give thou a great start. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 8:05. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the Bob Devine Studio, it's Mornings with Brian. Want to join the conversation? Call or text now at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
And I tell you what, if you haven't had a chance yet, you ought to register for your chance to win our giant Mother's Day gift basket.
Mm-hmm.
It's big. It's over $750 in value. It includes a cuff bracelet from Love Designs. It's got a Stanley water bottle, a temperature-controlled mug, a bag of local coffee, a box of Mally's chocolates, $150 gift certificate to Mary Maids, $150 gift certificate to Massage Envy,
Ooh.
$200 gift certificate to a hotel stay, and some books. Why would you not want this? Register for your chance now. Text MOM to 440-546-2255. Text MOM to 440-546-2255. We'll send you a link to get yourself registered. All right. All of us are watching what's going on in the Middle East, wondering what's coming next and where we are, really. So joining us now to help us better understand the whole situation with Israel and Iran is our friend Dr. Glen Duerr, Professor of International Studies at Cedarville University. Welcome back, my friend.
It's great to be back. Good morning to you all.
All right, so help us better understand. Give us the background on what brought on the tension currently between Israel and Iran.
If we back up to October the 7th, we have a clear and heinous invasion by Hamas of Israel. We know a lot about that in terms of the 1,200 murdered and then over 200 taken as hostage, and then the beginning of fighting. And really, we've seen that conflict expand with terrorist organizations in southern Lebanon, Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, and some militias in Syria and Iraq that are Iran-backed, also hitting Israel. And it's really developed into a war for the last 6 months or so. But notably, last weekend, it hit an even worse moment because for the first time ever, and even though Iran has attacked Israel through its proxies, it's never done so directly until Saturday. And so a lot of people last weekend were very concerned in terms of where this would all go because the Iranian government directly fired over 300 drones and missiles at Israel. And then Israel's Iron Dome system and David Sling and Arrow structures also successfully defended the country with about 98% efficiency, with some help from the United States and other allies, as well as Jordan and Saudi Arabia. So it averted a lot of the trouble on the ground. And then subsequently, Israel struck back at a nuclear site in Isfahan in the center of Iran as a means of trying to set back Iran's nuclear program. And so the world is on edge to in many respects because this is a direct confrontation between the two. It hasn't escalated yet, but as you intimated in the question, a lot of people are concerned of what comes next.
Yeah, if I were to think of it in a different circumstance, like let's just say Canada launched hundreds of things at us and other countries were like, hey guys, don't retaliate. We'd think they're nutty. So why was it that the world was calling Israel to just be like, okay, never mind, you shot at us?
That has been long-standing policy, and it really vexes a lot of Israelis because, as you rightly noted, if the same thing happened to us in the United States, we would just not tolerate it, and yet that's what we call on Israel to do. It is complicated because you get to the issue of just war and proportional retaliation, and Israel's very good at defending its territory, and then it goes on the offensive and usually does a lot of damage to neighboring countries against terrorist organizations that are housed there. I think of Lebanon in 2006, where Hezbollah fired all kinds of rockets and missiles into Israel, and then Israel hit back, and the same international response happened. In Gaza in 2008, Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad did something similar. Israel retaliated. And when there's a higher death toll, the world community says, okay, stop. And so this has long been in the playbook. And it's also, I think, based on a fear of something wider happening between Israel and Iran. But as you rightly noted, if you're sitting in the Israeli position, you get fired upon by over 300 projectiles, and you're then told, don't do anything in response. That's awfully tough when you know that Iran has been developing a nuclear weapon for a long time, and now they actually were given a free pass to hit something. the Prime Minister Netanyahu, in many regards, had to take it from his perspective.
And now, if I heard you correctly, you indicated that both Saudi Arabia and Jordan helped to take down those Iranian missiles. Is that accurate? And why would they help Israel?
Yes, that's what's really crazy about the headlines from the 12th and 13th of April is that Israel defended itself. Its Iron Dome system is generally very strong. There was support from the United States Air Force, the British, the Royal Air Force. But in particular, for the first time, allies like Jordan, who have had a peace agreement with Israel since '94 and have had normal-ish relations, they actually stepped up, utilizing the Jordanian Air Force, and knocked down projectiles over their own airspace to protect Israel. And Saudi Arabia also provided support despite no formal agreement. Saudi Arabia has not yet signed on to the Abraham Accords, for example. And after all that, Israel's actually able to say that it defended from Iran. It defended the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock, the third holiest site in Islam, from Iran. And so there are all kinds of interesting but bizarre headlines from all of this, that Israel defends the holy site in Islam and that Jordan and Saudi Arabia support Israel against Iran. And that's what's made the weekend of the 12th, 13th so strange but also interesting in world affairs.
Was that mosque a target?
It doesn't look like it directly, but we also have to note that with over 300 drones and missiles, some of which came very, very close to Jerusalem, and some of which are difficult to sometimes control 100% accurately, it had to be stated that it's something that could have been hit. There were targets in and around close to Jerusalem that ended up getting through the Iron Dome system. There's an airbase just outside of Jerusalem, for example, that was hit. And so it's hard to know for sure, because unless you're controlling it from Iran, you don't know. But at the same time, these things can go off course.
Wow.
And so the claim can be made that Israel defended all of Jerusalem, including the Al-Aqsa Mosque.
It is 8:17, time for a quick break here. Our guest is Dr. Glen Duerr. He's professor of international studies at Cedarville University. When we come back, we'll keep chatting with him about what's going on in Israel, as in I've heard so many say we're on the brink of World War III. If so, why haven't it started yet? I mean, wouldn't it have gone by now? We'll talk more about that in a minute.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten.
Without Trinity support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838. That's 1-800-659-9838.
Whether you are a mother, have a mother, or know a mother, Moody Radio wants to bless and celebrate moms this Mother's Day. Enter our Mother Like No Other contest from April 22nd to May 5th for a chance to win a prize package worth $750 for the special mom in your life, or for yourself. It's easy to enter. Just fill out the entry form and tell us what makes your mom truly special. Enter at moodyradio.org/mother. That's moodyradio.org/mother.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Colton Dixon at 8:22 here on WCRF. Our guest, if you're just tuning in, has been Dr. Glen Duerr, professor of international studies at Cedarville University, chatting with us about all the tension we're seeing between Israel and Iran. I've heard many people speculate we're on the brink of World War III here, particularly if Israel would have, responded, and they did. So why are we not in some sort of global war right now?
It's a very important question, but in terms of precipitating a wider conflagration, it would have to draw in the larger powers, the United States, Russia, China, to be a truly global World War III. And so it is a dangerous moment because Israel and Iran, as I mentioned in the previous segment, have fired upon each other for the first time, especially Iran on Israel. Israel has often taken the opportunity to neutralize scientists in the nuclear program, things of that nature, to defend itself. But Iran is probably more delicate than they seem. This is a government that is deeply unpopular by the people. Roughly 1/3 of the population of Iran along the periphery are in ethnic, religious, and/or linguistic minorities and really don't like the central government. And if we recall from early 2022, when a young Kurdish lady, Mahsa Amini, was brutally killed by the morality police, it sparked a chain of significant protests throughout the country, at which 300 people plus died. And it really says that a lot of people deeply resent the Islamic Republic. Moreover, Tehran is a place where the gospel is arguably spreading fast in the world, and a lot of people are either turning away from Shia Islam, becoming secular, becoming Christian, becoming something else. And so Iran is actually very weak and is probably lashing out as a means of trying to bolster itself. And so I do not see a direct confrontation between Israel and Iran. I see much more Iranian weakness here. And a World War III would also draw in the larger powers. The United States is already in the region with assisting Israel, but it doesn't look like the United States wants to get involved in anything offensive. China has stayed largely out of it. Russia has supplied things behind the scenes to Iran, but it too has its hands full in Ukraine and elsewhere. And so I see the prospects of World War III as unlikely at this moment, although it is dangerous in the sense that there are two opposing alliances. One alliance of China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran, and some others, and the other alliance of the United States, NATO countries, other allies, including Israel. And that's where it gets problematic. That's where this could flare up and become something much larger and must be managed well.
Yeah, it seems kind of reminiscent of the alliance system set up before World War I, right? Where just the right incident set the whole thing off. Although you don't seem too concerned about a global war.
I think you're spot on in terms of the alliances, because that is the parallel. The difference is that there's a much greater geographic dispersion. Ahead of World War I, it was all in Europe, essentially, and these were neighbors as well as opposing alliances. There's a lot more geographic space between the two. I'm certainly concerned because there are moments that keep ratcheting up, and there are a lot of other civil wars in the area. So, for example, Sudan, Libya, Yemen, Syria, Iraq are all in a state of civil war, and there's a danger of those being linked in some way. And I haven't even mentioned Israel, Gaza, Ukraine, Russia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, all within a proximate neighborhood as well. So it's a dangerous moment, but at the same time, a major spark is not yet there. The pieces are still in place where I think normal and cooler heads will prevail. The question is whether something goes off track. And with Iran attacking Israel directly, it was very dangerous. But I think a lot of the major powers also wanted to manage it because they realized the detriment of a World War III.
And now, finally, our conversations over the last number of months since this war broke out, you expressed concern about Israel being able to sustain a conflict long term because of how much of their citizenry is involved in this. How does this end?
It's a great question because, as we've discussed in prior conversations, Israeli tourism has really declined because, well, how many Americans are willing to go to Israel at this time? And personal safety is a very significant issue. And there are a lot of people, young people at the front. There are businesses, universities that have closed for a significant period of time in all of this. It is a great question because Israel has largely won a lot of the territory in Gaza, although Hamas was still able to fire off a couple of rockets while Iran struck at Israel. I should note that Hamas still had the capacity, even after 6 months, to still do that. But the bigger question is, who governs Gaza in the meantime? Is it the Israeli Defense Force? Because that is going to be difficult and long-standing and costly. But there is no Palestinian partner at this time that can adequately govern Gaza and fill in that gap. Egypt wants no part of it because it too has had its own major issues in and around Gaza. And that is the vital question as to when this ends, because the military victory has largely been won, but the question is how to govern and keep it from being a very restive area. And also the humanitarian situation is highly problematic and needs a solution as well. And so all of that together means that it's probably not going to end immediately, and no solutions are easy either.
What's your recommendation in terms of how our Christian audience ought to be praying for this particular conflict?
As you mentioned in the previous question, there's a lot of concern over World War III and something larger. Jesus noted in Matthew 24 and Luke 21 to expect these things, nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and so it shouldn't take us by surprise. And so we should be praying for God's will to be under his sovereign plan, that that there will be conflict in our days, but at the same time under John 14, to not let our hearts be troubled. We can pray for the peace of Jerusalem under Psalm 122, verses 6 and 7, that there be strength in the towers and security in the walls, and that is a key feature as well. But also under 1 Timothy 2, to have wisdom and guidance for our leaders, because I mentioned a lot needs to be managed in all of this in order to avoid something much wider. Cooler heads need to be there, but also we need to stop the violence against Israel, that it needs to be safe and secure in its area. So a combination of those scriptures and also praying for God's will, and that it should remind us to, under Matthew 28, make disciples of all nations. We should be on message and on task, sharing the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, his life, death, burial, and resurrection on the cross for our sins. And that is, I think, the key in a prayer over all of this.
Wonderful. Thanks so much to Dr. Glen Duerr, again, Professor of International Studies at Cedarville University. For more information about this, as you might want to go study political science there, or your kid or grandkid, go to cedarville.edu. Again, cedarville.edu. Dr. Duerr, as always, we're grateful for your time and expertise.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Have a great day, everyone.
You bet. 8:31 now, time for a little break here. But when we come back, we're going to be joined by our friend Tracy Bihary of the Cleveland Pregnancy Center. How have things been going for them since the overturning of Roe v. Wade? What's the state of things here in Ohio? She's got some updates for us in just a few minutes.
Why can't Christians do better? If I could do it all over again, Christian leaders share the most important lessons of their lives. With all of our Bibles and sermons and Christian books, why can't Christians seem to do better? Dr. Gary Chapman of the 5 Love Languages suggests,
to me, one of the key issues as whether we repeat history or whether we learn from history is whether we know history. And if people read and know something about what's happened in the past, biblical history or whether we're talking about Christian examples, the more we know about the past, the less likely we are to repeat it, and the more likely we are to build on it and make things better, which I think is what God intended. And we've done that when it comes to knowledge, technical knowledge. I mean, look at all the things we know today that we did not know 50, 60 years ago. But unfortunately, we haven't done that when it comes to things such as character and, living moral lives. So I wish we would expose our children more to history, both Christian and non-Christian history, so that they can build upon what has happened rather than repeat it.
Bible teacher Kay Arthur adds,
when we talk about why do we keep making the same mistakes, I think the only thing that is going to break the cycle is knowing the Word of God and coming face to face with it and knowing how to handle the word of life, to study to show ourselves approved unto God, accurately handling the word of God, cutting it straight. And I think if we would do that, then we wouldn't live with all the regrets that people live with.
Reflections from Kay Arthur. This has been a production of Moody Radio, a ministry of Moody Bible Institute, based on the book, If I Could Do It All Over Again.
Moody Radio is thankful for listeners and support from businesses like Duma Meats and Farm Market. Duma Meats and Farm Market supporting Moody Radio in Cleveland and surrounding areas. More information about Duma Meats and Farm Market is at dumameats.com.
If you've been thinking about a career in aviation, consider a Bachelor of Science degree in Missionary Aviation Technology from Moody Bible Institute. Flight majors earn an average of 325 flight hours, including over 100 hours of flight experience in high-performance aircraft. You'll be fully trained to get your private, instrument, and commercial pilot certification immediately after graduation, and you'll have a foundation in Bible and avionics technical training. Visit moody.edu/aviation. That's moody.edu/aviation.
Good morning, Cleveland. Thanks for choosing us to help you start your day. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
This is WCRF Moody Radio Cleveland. It's now 8:38. You're listening to Mornings with Brian, and we've got a bunch of stuff running right now, including you could have breakfast with Ron, you and a friend.
Yeah, please.
It's like the greatest prize ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
pretty much.
It doesn't get much better than that. Breakfast plus Ron equals fun.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't, by the way, vouch for the safety of your bacon. We are not responsible if your bacon disappears.
Sit on the opposite side of the table.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I will do my best to restrain myself.
But there's no promises.
No promises.
May 2nd is the date. It's at the IX Center for the Cleveland Leadership Prayer Breakfast. We have 2 pairs of tickets we're giving away to have breakfast with Ron at his table.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be one of the winners, just enter for your chance to win. Text the word Ron to 440-546-2255. All right, joining us now is someone we know quite well. She's been with us numerous times. She's director of the Cleveland Pregnancy Center. Welcome back, Tracy Bihary.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing better now, sister, that you're here. And as I understand it, you're bringing a friend with you today, huh?
Yes. I want to introduce you to Bettina. She is our development and outreach director. And I'll just let her say hello and just tell her a little story a bit about herself this morning.
Yes.
Hi there.
Hey.
My name is Bettina, and like Tracy said, I'm the Development and Outreach Director at the Cleveland Pregnancy Center. I was brought here through the grace of God. My testimony is that I married my trafficker, and through that exploitation, I was forced through 2 abortions. After God took me out of that pit, he led me through some healing and to an answered prayer to be used in my purpose here at Cleveland Pregnancy Center.
Wow. Bettina, God bless you for what you're doing and for sharing your story with us. Wow, that's amazing. We'll have to hear more from you on that at some point if you're open to it.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Now, one of you I know wants to talk about how much your client intake has been changing here since December. What's going on?
Yeah, we've been so grateful that we've been able to almost quadruple our client intake. We went from seeing 20 clients at the end of December to 65 at the end of March a month.
Wow.
And that was it's been incredible. We're meeting women where they are at. And the reason that we've been so successful is that we opened up the online scheduling option. So, people like to have things conveniently, and that was a real way of connecting with people that wanted to schedule themselves for coming in for an appointment. So we were available. We've got our new marketing, our website, and our landing pages, which are able to reach women as well. And then we're also open 5 days a week. We were open 2 in the clinic area, and we've got different shifts and different staff for different shifts, which we always need more for. And we're looking for nurses and sonographers still. So if you are out there and you're looking for some part-time work, please contact client care at lilywomencenter.com. And that's the clinic side of the Cleveland Pregnancy Center. And love to shout out to Amy, who's our client care director. She's been so instrumental in our clinic's growth. So we've just been really meeting women where they're at with new church partnerships. Our baby bottle drive is just crazy. We need more baby bottles. If people are out there and have discarded ones, please send our way. We've been very, very thankful to the Lord for all he's been doing for us.
Wow, yeah, expanding from 2 to 5 days is a big shift. And again, you're looking for nurses and sonographers. What's the website in case that piqued somebody's interest?
They can go to lilywomencenter.com.
lilywomencenter.com, okay.
That's the client side. And then we have our clevelandpregnancycenter.org, which is our donor-facing side of the organization. So both will give some information on what we do and who we are, and some contact information if you're interested.
And I can see Lauren looking all that stuff up right now. So if you're needing help and couldn't write that down, just reach out to us. We'd be glad to get you all the information. Now, can you talk about what some changes you've seen since the amendment passed in Ohio?
Absolutely. So the passing of Issue 1 it has only highlighted the need for what we do at the center and increased our zeal for the work and the ministry and our mission, which is providing biblical life-affirming resources of services to those affected by unexpected pregnancies. And part of that is the abortion pill reversal that it's been around probably for 50 years or so, but it is just more so prevalent now because of the passing of Issue 1. And basically that abortion pill is if a client or a woman that has an unintended pregnancy goes to get the chemical abortion with the pill, and after taking the first pill in the office of the clinic, she decides that she no longer wants to abort the baby and she wants to keep the baby, she has approximately 24 to 72 hours to contact the hotline for the abortion pill reversal pill, which then will send the referral, if the client is in our area, to us. And at that same time, the hotline will also connect to the provider of the abortion pill, which is a nurse practitioner or a doctor. And between us and that provider, we would take them in, do their pregnancy test and their ultrasound, and send that information over to the provider so he could decide what the prescription and volume of the medicine that they need to give to the client. And again, like I said, they have 24 to 72 hours to get that medication in. And as of 2018, it has been shown of a 68% rate of effectiveness.
Wow.
And continuing to carry through to a safe and full, healthy delivery of the baby. So that is one of our big things. And we currently are a referral. So we would take in the client to confirm the pregnancy, but we are working through the process, which is a longer process because of legalities and everything, to become a provider and be able to write the prescription ourselves. And that way the client only has one visit to go through. So that's our big push right now for the pregnancy center, is getting this active, because we've seen an increase in women calling the hotline for that reversal.
I was going to ask you about that, whether you're seeing more demand, and it sounds like that's the case, huh?
Yes, it tends to be the case more so now, especially with the Issue 1 passing. A lot of these women think that this is a right for them to, go and just freely get an abortion, and a lot of times there's that second guessing in the process. And like I said, it's been around for a long time, but it wasn't as promoted. And now that it's promoted, and they have done a few case studies to show the effectiveness of it, it's something that we want to promote more to these women, because I know for myself personally, I did have that regret after taking the first medication, but I didn't know there was an option out there for me. Wow. So obviously I went through with it, and there's a whole lot of regret and things that can happen psychologically, physically, and spiritually to you through that process.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, as our team was chatting about this yesterday, preparing for today's program, none of us even knew that existed. So we're excited to help get the word out on that. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've had an increase in clients. They call the center, and so, we're able to just meet them where they are and offer that it's salvation for them to hopefully be able to keep that child and carry them to term.
And we get to ensure them that God understands their mistake, and he forgives them, and he loves them right where they're at, just like us. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Now, what's ahead for the Cleveland Pregnancy Center in the next year?
Well, definitely the APR, the abortion pill reversal, is one of our big strategic initiatives and push. But our theme this year is encounter, embrace, and encourage. It's encountering women where they are, embracing them with the love of Jesus, and then encouraging them with just our options counseling to know that they can succeed and they can take care of their child, and just showing them the resources and availability of our help to make them do that. And then we're partnering with many organizations where women are facing crisis pregnancies and needing help. We're partnering with Total Life Wellness, who offer a lot of help with survivors from trafficking. We're also looking at ourselves as a safe house for women who are in crisis from that situation. And then we're also looking to partner with And Then There Were None, which retract abortion workers from the field. And actually our speaker this year at our banquet, which I'll talk about in a minute, but is Kelly Lester, who happens to be an ex-abortion worker, and we're excited to have her come and speak with us. But just being that light in the dark place, being the light at Planned Parenthood, taking our heart brochures into their facility and offering healing for women that come back because they've regretted their decision. And, you know, there's so many different ways that we're able to help and meet people where they are. So those are just some of the things that we're looking at to expand over this next year and continue the growth of the clinic and the staff. Even, you know, our long-term goals are even to have a daycare where we can house classes in our center for women and then have the children looked after. So there's lots of options and possibilities out there.
Now, if folks want to learn more about what you're doing at Cleveland Pregnancy Center, or perhaps even find out how to attend your upcoming banquet, how can they do that?
They can do that through online. They can register at our website, clevelandpregnancycenter.org. There is a tab at the top that says events. Go to that and click register now for the banquet. They can also follow us on social media on Facebook for the Cleveland Pregnancy Center. That's our donor-facing site on Facebook. It gives them all the highlights of what's going on at our center, what we're doing, what we're looking to do, why we're involving different things like the trafficking organizations and stuff, and how that is so connected to unintended pregnancies. And as you said, our banquet is Tuesday, April 30th at 6 p.m. at the Aviator in Cleveland by the airport. And again, they can register online. They can also email me, development@clevelandpregnancycenter.org if they would like to register. I know sometimes we have some older folks that don't want to go online or on the internet. They can call us and register. It's a free event. And we will have Total Life Wellness there, and also our partner, SOFA, Spirit of Faith Adoptions. They will have tables to give information about what they do. And we'll also have, like Tracy said, Kelly speaking about, you know, being a former abortion worker and getting out of that industry and how that affects them. It's not as known by many that abortion workers are coerced into their positions as well with different incentives. So there's a big connect with a lot of these things in our pregnancy center, and how we can just reach more women that don't know we exist and don't know that they have an option. We like to say that we give more choices than an abortion clinic, because we do give them all their options. We explain everything and the truth behind how all those things are affecting you and your whole body. Most people don't understand that. So that's what our banquet's going to be about, and sharing our new theme and goal for the year. And we hope to see you there as well at the banquet.
Wonderful. Again, thanks to Tracy Bihary and her colleague Bettina from the Cleveland Pregnancy Center. Go check it out. Don't forget their banquets next week. You don't want to miss that opportunity. Again, thanks to you both for your time this morning.
Thank you so much, Brian. We look forward to seeing everybody there.
You bet. God bless you. It is 8:51. Time for a quick break, and we come back. Tomorrow starts a 2-day campaign, a real big one I'm excited about, because I got to see firsthand what we're going to be asking you to support.
You know, you see a huge group of people, and maybe they're in line to do something, and they seem happy about it. You have to wonder, okay, what am I missing? What's going on here? What are these people excited about? Well, in this case, it's thousands of people, and they're joining MediShare. Why? Well, MediShare is a much more affordable alternative to health insurance. It's reliable, too. It's a well-run community of Christians. They've been sharing each other's medical expenses for more than 30 years, so it's proven. And if you switch, you'll likely save hundreds of dollars a month. Most members wind up paying about half what they used to. And you know what? They find they like it better. MediShare's member satisfaction rate is 98%. That's way better than health insurance, as you might imagine. You don't have to pay for things you don't believe in. You get telehealth 24/7, huge freedom in choosing your doctors. At least check into it. This may be one of those things where you're like, why didn't I do this a long time ago? Why not start saving now? Call 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
Moody Radio is thankful for King and Country.
But look around you. Your family, your faith, they're not in the way. They are the way.
From the creators of Jesus Revolution comes the true story.
It's going to be dangerous and scary, and giving up, it's not an option.
The story of one family's journey from down under to center stage. Unsung Hero, a For King and Country film starring Candace Cameron Bure and Terry O'Quinn. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. In theaters April 26th. More information available at unsunghero.movie.
Bringing Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania closer to Christ one conversation at a time. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
8:53. So starting tomorrow and extending through Thursday here on the show and on the station, we're going to ask for your financial support for another ministry. Our friends at India Partners are making a huge difference for the kingdom in a country that really has, not officially been called a closed country to the Christian faith, but they're closing so quickly, they've kicked out Compassion International and World Vision. Said, you can't be here, you're too Christian. We had a chance to go visit. I went along with 3 colleagues from around the country a couple of months ago, and it was an incredible experience. I'd never been to India before. You've been? No, you haven't been.
Eddie's been.
Eddie's been
and
to
my
India.
dad. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't know what to expect, quite frankly, and I loved it there. The culture was incredible. The food was incredible. But at the same time, I was struck by the number of people, just the sheer volume of human beings. The pollution, the poverty is truly breathtaking. And we were taken as a group by India Partners through the red light districts. It was kind of they brought us on a story of sorts. And the beginning of the story was seeing a few different red light districts that were disgusting, where women had been trafficked from around the country in India. There's over 120 languages. And they're brought to this place, they're forced to be trafficked, and they end up having children. So I still remember my colleagues and I, we were exiting one of the ministry centers. It was called a drop-in center for the women in the red light district. And I look over, and there's a little girl in a pink dress walking all by herself barefoot through the garbage-filled red light district streets. And it painted the picture of what we experienced the next day, which was India Partners works closely in a number of different layers with the women in the red light district. And some of the women choose to have their children sent to a safe place outside of the red light district. They're safe houses. And so for the next 2 days, we're going to ask for your financial support to keep those safe houses going. I visited them. I met the children there. I have audio of them. You're going to hear singing worship songs. And it's a beautiful place. I drop my kids off and let them live there. I'm telling you, it's wonderful. I can't wait to talk more about it. But if you want more information today, to get involved early, because it's really inexpensive to help keep kids safe. All you have to do is just go to our website, moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Just about 9 o'clock. Please join us the next 2 days as we ask for your support for India Partners to provide children that their mothers are trapped in the red light districts of India, where it's going to keep them safe, provide them a safe place to live and learn, hear about Jesus, get trauma care. It's incredible. I saw it personally, and we love to get your support, okay? That's tomorrow and Thursday